Good evening, Barbados. Good evening, Caribbean. Good evening, the world. This is Marcia Weeks, and you are watching the Marcia Week Show, where we educate, we agitate, we motivate, we mobilize. All happens on the Marcia Week Show. It is a wonderful night. It's great to be alive, and we're on. I see that everybody's on already, and we are ready to go. Let me tell you, I've got a new book. I've got a new book, and I've been learning. Oh my goodness, this has been so educational for me. Really, it has been. I've met such wonderful people all across Barbados. Wherever I go, people are mentioning, you listen, I watched the show, I'm up with you. I went to a particular bakery in Spitestone yesterday, and I did eat some flour yesterday. I had a currant slice. That currant slice at that particular bakery there in Spitestone is so good, right? And we went there to get our currant slice. And there was a worker, and the worker came out and said, what's your name? And then she came out, and we chatted and we hugged, and it was like we met. Listen, we were meeting the opposition, loyal opposition all over Barbados, because I've been telling you guys that we are made up of, guess what, all of us. Is the whole 280,000 of us all over Barbados. So wherever I go in Barbados, people are stopping me and they're talking to me about what is happening. They're saying, keep going, telling us all to keep going. And I will always say to them, it's not us, it's not the panelists, it's not Dr. Ferdinand, it's not Caswell, it's not Kimar, it's not Maxine, it's not Rose Corbin or Heather Cole. It's none of the young people who come on. It's all of us. It's all of us. We need our voices to come together and to create a big noise. We want to be part of the actual noise and not the echo, right? We want to be making the actual noise and not the echo. And that's why we come together and we work together. When we come together on a show like tonight, that we're going to talk about so many different things we're going to discuss. And we want you, towards the end of the show, now listen, towards the end of the show, we want you to either call in. You can call in at the 246-236-7000, all right, to share your views on whatever you hear. How is it? We've been talking about the cost of living. Tonight, we're going to be talking about those voters who during COVID were never given the chance to vote. Do you understand that? They were never given the chance to vote, a right that their ancestors fought and died for. They were put in quarantine and they were not allowed to vote, while other countries were allowed those in quarantine to vote, but not Barbados. Jamaica did, Bahamas did, Trinidad did, plus countries in Europe that had elections, not Barbados. So tonight, Philip Springer Catlin is going to be on the program, and he is the citizen who is also he is the founder and the leader, the political leader of the Barbados Sovereignty Party. And his party took the government to court over this. And I think that that is really commendable. So he's going to come on tonight, and he's going to be talking to us about that process and why he did it, especially now that we hear of this new virus, right? We're hearing about the monkeypox, and we are wondering, are they going to bring this close to the election so that they, once again would, suppress a certain segment of the population? Is that what is going to happen? So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the petrol, the price of gas, and what this government has been doing. They made some promises to us, Barbados, and they're not keeping it. They are pocketing all of that, the petrol tax, all of that being pocketed. And in addition to that, we're not seeing, and I probably, because of that, when Senator Ryan Walters come on tonight, then he's going to go into that. Probably that is why we in Barbados, we're not seeing any kind of decrease in our petrol bill, in the price of petrol, while it has dropped through in different countries around the world. Not Barbados, another one, not Barbados. It's like we've had, nobody has been injured from that thing in their arm in Barbados. Don't happen in Barbados. It don't happen in Barbados, right? That is another one that doesn't happen in Barbados. So we're going to talk all about that. We're going to look also at the fishing industry. Tonight we're slated to speak with some small boat owners. I'm praying that technically they can get on and that we will be able to have that conversation with them tonight, because they're really struggling. The larger boats have, they're taking care of the larger boats, but as per usual, as per this administration, there's something about them that is quite unique. When it comes to the small man, when it comes on to small businesses, somehow this government doesn't see them. They're probably too small for them to see them. That's just what it appears. So, they said they were going to take care of the boats that got destroyed. Guess what happened, Barbados? They're taking care of the large boats. And so I met with some fishermen yesterday, and they were telling me they have small crafts, and their boats are still broken up, and they have their rent to pay, utilities, all these different things, and they are unable to take care of all their expenses, right? So tonight we're going to look at all those things. We're also going to look at the cybercrime bill and how that is going to affect us in terms of a one-party state. How is it going? How will it affect us? Will that be what the motley government uses to prop up the one-party government, because we would not be able to criticize anybody in government? Is that what is going to happen? Something to think about. All right. So as usual, we're going to go right into the national anthem. All right. So we're going to go into the national anthem, and we ask everybody at home, unless you're driving, but if you're home, we ask you to stand at attention. This is very, very important, okay? This is the national anthem of Barbados.
Oh
and daughters. If you're a loyal son and a daughter or a daughter, let me see a thumbs up, please. We haven't done this patriotic test in a long time, or check in a long time. Where the loyal sons and daughters at? Where the loyal sons and daughters at? Oh my goodness, you are all joining in. Sir Alfred Benjamin from Brooklyn, Vernon Garns, how are you? Heathcliff, Bim the Beautiful, oh goodness, loyal. Look at the loyal sons and daughters. Look at them, look at them. Oh my Lord, Nigel Carrington, Lucinda Allen, Queen Bee. Oh goodness, I tell you, these are the loyal sons and daughters, not Grand, Pete Way. Good night, Simone Daniel. It's a free Ninja Man. What's happening now with Ninja Man? Oh my Lord, Simone Daniel, FX Trading. Oh, Rameem is 6070. Marcia, my namesake. Teroni, good night, good night, good night. Loyal sons and daughters, Monica Inns. Oh, my Lord. Greater will our nation grow in strength and unity. And that's what's happening when we come on here, Sir Alfred. You're in Brooklyn and you're connecting with us here in Barbados. That is what you call strength and unity. We are coming together, Barbados. Can you feel it? We are coming together. I feel it every time I leave my house. And people say, keep up the good work. We're there. We're watching. You know, we're connected in strength and unity. Barbados, we are coming together. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We are the loyal opposition. Yeah, we're not the politicians. We are the loyal opposition. And we are coming together. We are coming together. That's wonderful, people. Wonderful Flojo and Mildred and Sandra Brewster. How are you? Oh, my goodness. Wendy Forth Griffith, how are you doing? My word. Beverly Prescott. Loyal sons and daughters we are. And that's why we stay committed. And every night we are on, because we're keeping watch over this country. We are watching this country. We are keeping watch over Barbados. And we are making sure that those politicians, what they promise, that they are living up to what they promise. And if they're ill-treating us, we're not going to sit and take it, because they come and beg us the votes every year. So we're not going to sit down and take any ill treatment from anybody. We're going to speak up. And that's why we come together. Anybody tired of coming together yet? Anybody tired? Once this nation exists, we can't tired. We can't tired. No, we can't be tired. Yeah, this is a blessed country. Well, I told you we had a special guest that is going to join us tonight. And this man is really a justice. I would say he's a freedom fighter. He's a justice person. And I met him during the COVID lockdowns, and he was one of those that were, he would be out on the street, and he's educating Barbados, etc. He also has a party, the Barbados Sovereignty Party, BSP. And they were in the last two elections. And I remember when Mr. Kathleen Springer, somebody called me and reminded me and said, you have Philip Springer. They don't know that he's also Philip Springer. But he is the leader of the Barbados Sovereignty Party. He's also an executive director of ADDI, the African Diaspora, I forgot the last D, Development Institute. The Africa Diaspora Development Institute, and he's an executive director in that organization as well. So join me, Marcia Week Show, and let us welcome Mr. Philip Kathleen Springer. Good night, sir.
Thank you, Marcia, and welcome to your guests on the Marcia Week Show. Thanks. Nice to be here. It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I remember during the last election, this was your stop. You were always here.
Yes. And you were there with me during the court battle, especially in the first parts of the court battle because it took 2.5 years to get through the Supreme Court. And but I remember you spending several hours in the court with us and having lunch with me and my uncle upstairs in the cafeteria. So I always appreciate your support. Thank you.
You're so right. You're most welcome, and you're so right. And the reason I did that, Philip, was because I recognize you were by yourself and you were taking on the government by yourself. And I know what that feels like. And I said to my husband, I said, here is this man. There are how many thousands of Barbadians who did not get a chance to vote. So let's give the people the context. They did not get a chance to vote because all that happened to them was that they had COVID, and so they were in quarantine. And they were told, I had friends who didn't get to vote, and they were told that they could not vote. And Mr. Kathleen Springer, Philip Kathleen Springer, the leader of the Barbados Sovereignty Party, said, no, 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 that's against those people's constitutional rights. It's not about whether they were my people that would have voted for me or not. I'm standing up for voters' rights. And when I heard that, I told my husband, I said, he will be at the courthouse today. I hardly know this man, but I am going down to the courthouse and I'm going to be down there with them because we listen, it says, greater will our nation grow in strength and unity from our anthem, isn't it? And so we
Yes.
sat down, myself, Bungalites, not Bungalites, it was
Yes,
and
the elder Lumumba.
Lumumba. Yes,
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 yes.
Mr. Elder
Emmanuel and Lumumba and
Emmanuel.
myself.
Yeah,
And they
yeah,
stayed for a time, and then they were gone, and I remained there because I said, I sticking with you.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
yes. So
There were
tell us.
a lot of people. Look, Marcia, I'm very thankful. But number of people showed up that day at the court, and they gave me some real support, and I appreciate that. People stayed till after 7 o'clock at night. That was
Yes,
incredible. Yeah, but I don't want that to be lost on anything. The fact that people would come out and support you, like you said, when you're by yourself, man, that gives you a great a boost of confidence.
yes,
So I'm thankful to everyone that came out and paid the price.
yes, sir. Now, can you tell us what caused you, um, Philip? I think we could guess, but we want to know from you, Mr. Springer, what was the straw? What was that broke the camel's back for you? What was it
Right.
that said to you, no, I will pick up my own money and I'm going to go and seek representation on behalf of these Barbadians, my fellow Barbadians who could not vote? Walk us through that, Mr. Springer.
Well, the first thing that ticked me off was the time that it was called. We had a government that literally had 30 and 0. There was no opposition. With 2.5 years remaining on a mandate that was given to them. However, they got it. They got it. They won 30 and 0.
Mm-hmm.
We are under COVID. It is a worldwide epidemic, apparently, and people are scared out of their wits. Never experienced this before. We're on emergency rule, and here we are thrust upon with an election
Mm.
without even putting the protocols in place. This was the problem because the precedent had already been set. I believe the Bahamas, and I forget what the other country is now.
Bahamas and Jamaica and Trinidad.
Something. But the point is that we literally were rushed into casting a vote in 3 weeks, 21 days, the shortest period of time that an election can be called in. My question was, what was the urgency to dissolve the parliament, to call an election, and two, why only 3 weeks during, look at this, New Year's Eve, the election was announced. Now, people have just been locked down for a year or two,
Mhm.
and they're basically having a little Christmas turkey with their families or whatever they have, eggnog, whatever. And here an election is thrust upon them. We're still under emergency rule. Remember that at the
Yes.
time. It hadn't been lifted. And so at that point, people had to be very careful. You had 6 foot papers, you had
Hello, hi. Can anybody hear me? Okay, is Philip stuck? Are you guys hearing me? Ah, okay. I think Philip, we're having a challenge. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, viewers. If you can hear me, you know these things happen. We're using Wi-Fi, so it happens. So loyal daughter says they can hear me loud and clear. So it's Mr. Springer. So I know Dave is going to reach out to him and ask him to leave. And um, okay, so Dave is going to ask him to leave and to come back again. That's all right. We're gonna wait on him because I think that this is so important. Hi, Tony Paris. Thank you so much, you loyal son. We are the loyal sons and daughters of Barbados, and we are hereby making it known. Every time we log on, we are saying, listen, we are standing up for this country like Mr. Springer. Wasn't that very brave of him to stand up for those people? For all those people, he doesn't know all of them, but it's a matter of principle, and that's why I say to people all the time. They say, you come on and you talk, and what are you getting out of it? They see Lumumba. Lumumba goes on 3 days a week. He's on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock on his Facebook page, and people say, what? Why is he going on? He must be getting something. Somebody must be giving them something. They say, oh, of me. They say, oh, the DLP is paying them, paying her to come on, and this is doing that for them. Oh, there's somebody's got no, no. We've gotten an understanding of what it means to be a loyal son and daughter, right? A loyal son or daughter of this soil. And whether we were adopted like myself, or you were born or your neighbor string was cut here, we're committed to this country. And that is what is going to pull this country out of the rut that they're trying to keep us in. It is us as a group of people standing up together. Yeah. And Simone is reminding us that it was under 40% of persons who were eligible to vote that voted in the last election. So thank you for that, and I'm so happy to see everybody. Can you please share? We have a great show lined up for you tonight. I'm asking you kindly to share. Thank you so very much. Okay, Mr. Kathleen is back. Yes, Mr. Kathleen. Oh my Lord, I can't take your voice, eh?
I'm having fun. I'm having fun. I am
Yes.
the most probably marked person. Every time I try to do an interview, invariably they're gonna shut me down, and that's exactly what happened here.
But
So it's been
I'll
happening.
interject here. Let me say something that sometimes we say this to people and they say, "Oh, you're making things up." Whatever you think of Trump and Elon Musk, they had an issue the other day. As soon as they started their interview, Elon Musk, the big Elon Musk that owned Twitter, their Wi-Fi, everything started to go wrong for them not to have that interview. So
Yeah.
I'm reminding people that we're dealing with technology, and there are people who are very skillful enough and they know what to do so that something doesn't happen technically. But
Yes.
we're not going to focus on
Yeah.
anything like that. You're here again,
Yeah.
so go ahead and just continue what you were saying.
Right. So my bottom line is that as a citizen, and I consider myself a citizen activist, not a politician, or a candidate or any of those things. Those are add-ons. I'm a citizen activist. You imagine that as a citizen of this country, um, you are under these duress, under these stressful circumstances, under duress relative to the COVID and all of that, and even scared to go to a polling station, a voting location, because other people may be carrying the virus, and you got to be very careful, and you got to line up and this and that. The government was irresponsible, in my opinion. I spoke with a number of parties relative to the matter, and there were a lot of people that felt the same way but did not have the wherewithal to 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 go after the government. So I took my time. I got an attorney, Mr. Lalu Hanneman, and I consulted with him and two other attorneys. And it was at that time that we decided, well, if you feel that convicted about this thing, let's get it on. And that was with 3 days before the actual election. We had precedent in a case that was filed in 2018 that was favorable at that time to the now BLP government. So we felt that there was no way that they could now turn around the courts and say that what I was doing was not right. They got the verdict in 2018 on the day of election, and yet I filed 3 days in advance, and a judge who was not even supposed to be sitting on the bench because they replaced my judge came back several hours later after 12 hours of rambling and said that she did not have jurisdiction, that we were in the wrong court, all kinds of stuff that just didn't make any sense.
So let's walk the people through this. Just to be clear, those who are just watching. Now, we would have 3 days before the election, you would have come to that understanding that there would be thousands of people who would not be able to vote because they were in quarantine, right? And so you decided to get a lawyer, take your own money, get a lawyer, and to take this matter to court so that those thousands of people would be able to vote. And there was a case that was in 2018. I remember that case, and where it was ruled in the favor of the people to let them vote, but it was under the Barbados Labour Party brought the case, right?
That case against the then BLP government, correct, and they won by a landslide of 30-0. I found it interesting that at this point in time, given the fact that they had used the same method in 2018, that they would have at least given us a fair hearing, even if they ruled differently or came to some arrangement. But that did not happen. Instead, a judge got on the bench and basically violated the rules of the Constitution again by denying the court, by denying that in fact they said we were out of time, that it was too close to the election day, but yet theirs was filed on the morning of the election at 10 a.m. and they were given relief at 2 p.m. We did our research, we had our information, so we had no surprises. We stayed cool, and we knew what they would try to do, because at the end of the day, this is not about BLP, DLP, or BSP, or any other BFP, any of that. The point is, this is about the citizens of this country. We have the right to vote. We have the right to vote. The Constitution says if you deny one eligible voter the right to vote in the election, all votes are null and void. That's how they won the case in 2018. How come now in 2022, you don't put protocols in place for the people to be able to cast their vote and you say you have a legitimate election? That was where I parted company on this.
We're parted company. So let me ask you, can you just review for us what happened in 2018? Because I believe it had to do with those who were not born in Barbados. So the Jamaicans, Guyanese, other Caribbean nationals. Correct. Can you give us that scenario that this same BLP, they took the DLP government to court when those people could not vote? You remember? Yes. So can you go over that just a little bit, review that a little bit for us?
Absolutely. In 2018, a last minute motion was brought before the court to allow for CARICOM and Commonwealth citizens living in Barbados, but not necessarily citizens of Barbados, to be able to cast their vote in the Barbados election. Never been done before. And yet Barbadians were denied, 7,000 Barbadians were denied the right to vote in the last election. We have the record.
Pause, Philip, and let that sink in. Barbadians, listen to, did you hear what Mrs. Springer is saying to us tonight? That there were, in 2018, non-nationals who living in Barbados who said, we're living here, we're residents here, we're not citizens, but we're residents, and we should be allowed to vote. And the BLP, who was in the opposition at the time, took a case against the DLP government,
Yes, they
and
brought the
they
case. They
won.
brought the case.
They brought the case.
Yes,
And this is the
yes.
thing about this government. They brought the case and they won. And
And they
for
won.
these persons, now we had 7,000 Barbadians who were born in Barbados, navel string cut and buried here, did not get a chance to vote, because
Yeah.
they ruled
We're
against it. This is
denied
not
that right,
something.
constitutional right, Marcia. It is this. It's a basic constitutional right, and born Barbadians, as you said, were denied that. Now, and let me explain this, folks, a little bit. I want to be very clear. This is not a BLP thing, a DLP. If the DLP did it, I would have brought a case against them too.
Exactly, and you
But this
should.
is basically a constitutional issue, because if it is done then, what will they do in the next election? They will tell you you can't vote because I don't like your last name, or you live in the wrong street, or something or another. They were testing out their powers for what's to come. And that's basically what I gathered from all of this. They did not expect anyone, certainly not myself, to stand up and say, hey, I'm a citizen and I am not going along with this, because as one citizen, I have the right to ring the bell for all citizens in this country. It has nothing to do with whether, and I told the people, you don't have to vote for me. If you voted for me, I would go into parliament and I would represent your interests, not because I'm looking for a job, or not because I need the money or whatever, but because I am a citizen and I want to be able to walk down the street. I want to be able to enjoy my home, in peaceful quietness, and be able to enjoy the creature comforts of this country that I was born in. That is the bottom line.
Yeah, and I want to address something here, Mr. Kathleen Springer. There are people who, even on this chat, are asking. So, I see one of my friend Easy D there saying, well, do you have a manifesto? Do you realize that Mr. Kathleen is not on here to promote the Barbados Sovereignty Party? The name of the party comes up because that's the party that he's head of, and that's the party that he founded, and that's the party that took the government to court. But that's not what he's here to promote. And if you as a Barbadian can't look beyond that and hear that there were 7,000 Barbadians born here who had a constitutional right to vote and were not given that right.
Yeah.
And when the Barbados Labour Party was not in power, they made sure the non-nationals voted. And I'm sure they were not 7,000 strong.
I'm sure of that too. Let me answer the question though. Yes, we do have a manifesto. My team has been working on this for the
But
past.
you don't even have to.
But I won't go into the detail of that. But I'm saying yes, we do. In case we are fully in effect, folks. We have people in our organization. It's not just me. I just happen to be one. We actually have 17 persons at this moment in time that are looking to exercise their constitutional rights in the next election. We are hoping to get to 30, but at this point, as of 2 weeks ago, our last recruitment, we have 17 candidates.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
back to the issue.
That's an aside, but really and truly,
getting back to the issue.
Springer back to the case. Mr. Springer is here to talk about this very serious issue. And this is Mrs. Springer. The thing why this is so serious is because this issue of constitutional rights keep coming up over and over. We up to now we don't even have our new Republican Constitution. You have a school like me, Praise Academy, who went to perform a play, and our constitutional right was infringed upon. And all throughout this administration, it is a thing that we notice that they do, that they're trampling on the constitutional rights of Barbadians. And that is
Yes.
one of the reasons that I asked you to be on the program, because we want to highlight to Barbadians what is actually happening. Can you tell us where we are with the case now?
Right. Thank you for that. First of all, we won the last victory there in the court about a month ago or so. And that basically gave us 100-page decision that said that the judge erred substantially in making the decisions or the ruling that she did, which I found interesting. Would she not know that this was a ploy? It's all garbage. But what has happened now is that I have to be given a new court date in order to um, litigate the original application. So that will happen
Mm,
hopefully in short order. But there's something else that's actually come up now that was didn't happen then, but it has come up because of this. The 7,000 people that
mhm.
have been disadvantaged have now their lawyers involved now have gotten involved that said, "Hey, hold it, class action. We got 7,000 people here. We have a record of these people, and we want to test this in the court as well." Someone was asking here a little bit earlier about CCJ. Well, it was only after I threatened to go to the CCJ that they actually gave a decision, because the case was over 1.5 years ago,
Yeah.
and they reserved the right to make a decision. So in other words, they sat on it for another year and a half and said nothing, and I kept petitioning. But then when I had enough, I said to my attorneys, "Let's go to the CCJ. Let's get some decisions here." And as soon as we filed that, within 3 days, they gave me a hearing to give it the decision. And the week after that, I was given a victory, small and it's to me significant, but we got a victory on this leg, and now we want to go and prosecute the original application, which we will win. There is absolutely no way not to win it,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
if you take the precedent that they set in 2018, tell me
mhm.
now, right?
So I want to ask Philip. I want to once again just commend you. And anytime a Barbadian is going to stand up like this, we have to commend them. I have to tell the audience, and if I'm speaking out of turn, you can let me know. But I remembered that while we were waiting for you at the courthouse and we couldn't see you come, we're trying to figure out what is happening. Your car was, you remember that? You were run off the road.
Yeah,
Can you
man, I
tell the
almost got
people what happened?
I got banged up pretty badly, actually. Listen, it happened so quickly. I really, and it's been a while, but I did meet with an accident. Thank God, my BMW that I was driving was pretty sound, but the other vehicle was pretty damaged up, and there were three injured parties. Myself, I had my shoulder was dislocated. I had some cuts on my face from the explosion of the airbags. Even my hand, I had some lacerations, and so on and so forth. But let me explain something to you, Marcia, and to the audience. Well, you know, but they may not know. I had to be in court by 3 o'clock that day at the latest, or else this would have gone through the window. And I told the police when they came there, take me to the court. I am not going to the hospital until I go to the court. And I made it there. And that is what made the difference. Bleeding and
Yes,
all, the doctor came and you remember you were there, they put the thing all around my arm and around my neck
yes,
because it
yes.
hurt
Let
so
me tell
bad.
the people, you came there with your arm in a sling, and we were wondering, where is Philip? What is going on? Philip had met in an accident on his way to the courthouse, and this man was so determined that he came. And one have to wonder if the accident was deliberate. But
Yeah.
Philip was out. He was not going to let him
Nope.
let that yeah
Nope. Not at all.
he was not going to let it stop him. I want to ask the viewers, there are almost 700 of you watching at this moment. Do you think that the government should have allowed the 7,000 people in quarantine to vote, bearing in mind that Jamaica made provisions for them Trinidad made provisions. Bahamas made
Bahamas,
provisions. That's just in the
I
Caribbean.
think also it was also Belize. I think Belize was the other place as well. Yeah,
And Belize. Okay. So
something like
four Caribbean countries that had, because everybody was trying to do the election in COVID because they recognized it would have given them an advantage.
that. Of
And so
course,
people were doing that. But I want to ask people, can you put yes for me? Well, if you think that or no, yes, the people should have been allowed to vote. The 7,000, it's not seven, it's not 70, it's not 700, it's 7,000
thousand.
people were in quarantine. And this government did not make any provisions for them to vote. However, years before in 2018, this same government, BLP government, they took the DLP government at the time to court to get the non-nationals who were in Barbados to get them to be able to vote. Think
Yes,
about that. But
yes.
7,000 Barbadians when it was now their turn. And that's why I open my computer each night and I come on, plug in my microphone and my lights because I see the injustice that is in happening in this country, and the start of a dictatorship is what is happening in this country. So people are
Let, let
sitting
me let
there.
me let me let me show you how simple this could have been, and I would have backed away and mind my business. When you have an elderly, say a family member, I know this because I've seen this where my grandmother was very elderly, almost in her 90s. She died at 98 and 4 or something like that. But I remember a family member used to take her ID every month and go to the bank and cash a check for her and bring her the money, buy groceries, whatever they had to do. What was so difficult with allowing, because and I'll say this under correction, but I don't think I'm wrong. We could have had a situation, and I heard the proposal put forward where um, one person could vote for 3 family members to a maximum, um, but with the proper documentation and so on and so
Mm,
forth to verify that that is in fact. Now, you can't tell anyone what to put on the paper once you got in the box. I mean, they could say, yes, I'm Granny, I'm going to vote for the BLP and then put DLP. That's the risk you have to take. The point is that they were not given that opportunity. They were not allowed to have that right. And under the Constitution, the same Constitution that said you couldn't disadvantage a CARICOM citizen or a Commonwealth citizen, you told Barbadian people to go suck salt. I
mhm,
found that very, very, very interesting,
mhm,
and now this thing is not pretty at all. And it didn't have to come to this, Marcia. It did not need to come to this. All they had to do was delay for a week or two and allow the protocols to be put in place. It's that simple. But there was this urgency. We are believing that there were other factors involved with that decision. And there's another thing, I won't say it on the air, but there was another irregularity that is very, very big. And we'll test that if we have to when the time is right. But
mhm.
but that either way, I'm confident. I am absolutely convinced that we will win the final victory in this matter. Uh, it is up to them to determine now when I get to go back to court to litigate on the original application, and the findings of the 3 justices that gave the ruling was very, very clear and definitive. It's 100 pages long, and it's quite a bit of work that they did. The unfortunate thing that I'll say to those, the current chief justice was one of the people. You remember Mr. Leslie Haynes, who was in
Yes,
that courtroom that day acting on behalf of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
yes, yes.
And he was the chief justice sitting on the bench with the other 2 former chief justice and Justice Reefer when the verdict was given down, because one of my justices died, Jeff Cumberbatch, earlier this year in February or something like that. So I was sitting, ironically, myself and my one of my VP's attorney was sitting in the courtroom, and I didn't know they could hear us. And I said, if they rule against me, I'm going to see CJ tomorrow. He shouldn't be on the bench. And that's what I said like that. Because if he was a litigant in the action, how is it now that he's sitting as the one of the judges in the case?
Wow. Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
But the thing is, they knew that they were going to give me the victory, so I guess it didn't matter. It's a moot point at this point. But the point is, we got to get our stuff together in this country. There's a
Yeah.
lot of poor political hygiene being practiced around here. I don't want to
Yes.
prosecute anybody at this time. But the point is this: I am interested in what is in the best interest of every Barbadian. It doesn't matter what your political leaning is. I was never a politician. I do come from a long line of politicians, so going back to Errol Barrow. Even Cummins before him, my great uncle, second premier of Barbados. But the long and the short of it is this: as a citizen activist, it is my responsibility, if nobody else wants to get up and go and scream loud at the corner of the city, and so that people will know that they have a right and that they're entitled and their rights are being besmirched. And that's all I did, Marcia. That's
Yes.
all I did.
Well, and we're grateful that you did that, and so I'm so happy that you were able to come on to speak to us this evening about it. We are seeing talks about this new virus. I know
Yes.
I know that there's a fake press release that is being issued, and it's not from the Minister of Health. Or if you look at that press release properly, it says Ian Edgehill. All right, but our Minister of Health is Jerome Walcott. All right, so that is not correct.
Jerome Walcott. Jerome Walcott.
Jerome Walcott is the Minister of Health. However, it does mention a different name as the Minister of Health. Read it correctly. And even the one that looks like it's a nation, you could see the picture is a little dull. So they would have copied it. And then, some mischievous person is putting out a press release that there is monkeypox in Barbados. That press release is not correct.
Marcia, I want to tell you that when you introduced me originally, you said that I'm also an executive with the ADDI. Well, I'm the CEO of ADDI Global. I am the chief cook and bottle washer of ADDI, promoted into that position earlier this year. And I get to see a lot of information floating in many of the countries. Right now, the DRC Congo is full of monkeypox. It's an epidemic. And it is known that this pox was released by certain governments. And it's really starting to affect the population. The DRC has been in a war for years now. The women are raped and killed on the streets like they're nothing. It is such a terrible, terrible, terrible circumstance. And they chose DRC to go in and more or less experiment while there's confusion. And unfortunately, it is going to spread. But this is just part of the play. This is why this election was called in a hurry, and they have to. They're marching to the tune of WEF, and the unfortunate thing about that is that is not a political organization, but it has a lot of political might, and it has made sure that it has gained many of the prime ministers and presidents around the world, like Justin Trudeau and others, to they control them. And their policies are then dictated to those individuals. I suspect that some of that is what we are dancing with here in Barbados as well, and maybe some of the other islands in the Caribbean. The point, though, that I'm making, and I'll yield on this, is that
right, because we have another 3 minutes, and then we have to wrap up.
We, the people, have to take matters in our hands and defend ourselves. They do not work for us. They are supposed to be working for us, but they forgot the rules of the game. Marcia, I want to thank you for bringing me on here today to express myself, to let the people of Barbados know that I'm not some mischievous guy out there trying to cause trouble or anything like that. And my intentions are honorable. But more importantly than that, I want to thank you for your support. And I want to thank all the people that have supported me. There are lots of people around Barbados that are in touch with me now, and even in other parts of the world. Jamaica ran a nice article on me. Grenada did. I even got one from some paper in London. I said, wait, these people actually know that, and so it was really a great feeling to see those people sent them to me. And I want to thank you for the time you gave us tonight.
Well, you're most welcome. And I mean, I'm honored to be able to do that because this is what I believe in standing up for those who could not, who can't stand up for themselves. There are 7,000 persons who were quarantined, who were not allowed to vote, and you stood up for them. The least we
Yeah.
can do here on the Marcia Week Show is to provide that forum for you. And
Yes.
for every stage of this case, you're more than welcome to come on and to share with us. We are part of your
Yes.
family, and
Yes.
we are. I'm sure there are probably some of these persons who made up the 7,000 as well. So we
I'm
want
sure.
to, yeah, we want to be part of it. So please keep
what
us.
what I want, what I will do is once we have a direction on the class action that is now in the process, so it's still early in that. Once the lawyers have decided how they will best deal with that, I will call you to arrange for an opportunity for the plaintiffs as well, or some of them, because you can't bring
Mhm.
7,000 people on here. And maybe representatives from the attorneys to come and put their whatever they want to say. I have no way to say at this time what they will say to you, but I'm aware of what's going on, and I thank you very
Yeah.
much for
Well, you're most welcome, Mr. Springer. This is Philip Kathleen Springer of the Barbados Sovereignty Party. Thank you so much,
and
sir. God
ADDI.
bless you. And ADPI. Thank you. God
Thank you
bless.
very much. Blessings to
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Shalom. Shalom.
Bye
Yeah.
bye. Oh my goodness, this is remarkable, and this is what we do as Barbadians. We stand up for each other. We stand up for each other, and I will continue to have that time at the end of the show for you to call in or to come into the studio, because I want you to always feel that you have a voice. You have a voice. You have a voice, Barbados. We stand up and we're going to speak up for ourselves, and we're going to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Can you imagine what has happened? 7,000 persons, their votes were suppressed in this country. And you might say, but Marcia, there was a pandemic. Come on, give the government, give the government, pass on this one. No, because Jamaica allowed for their people to vote. Bahamas did it. Trinidad did it just 45 minutes away from us. And I'm being told tonight on the show, Belize did it. Why not Barbados? I want us to stop. Our next guest is going to be on. Ryan is going to be on. Mr. Ryan Walters will be on in 6 minutes. But I want us to think about all the times that our constitutional rights and our human rights were infringed upon by this government since they've been in office 5.5, 6 years. I want you to write it in the comment section. Write it in the comment section for me. The times that our rights have been infringed upon. I can think, of course, the right to vote. 7,000 persons' votes were suppressed here in Barbados. Yes, Barbados, this progressive country that they say we are, their rights were suppressed. What about the rights, the parental rights of those children, the parents of those children who were given the test? You remember that sex test that was given to the children, the 11-year-old children? The parental rights were taken from them. What about the employee rights, where they were now saying to employees in Barbados that if you did not take a certain treatment for that disease in the pandemic, then you couldn't work, you could lose your job. You remember that? I mean, there's so many of them. Our school, Praise Academy, our constitutional right of freedom of religion and expression was taken away from us. right here in Barbados. This is the progressive Barbados that the world knows of, but we live here and we know better. Yeah. Think about all the times. If you think, I'm talking about the parental rights when the IDB test, there is the freedom of religion and freedom of conscience. There is a voter suppression, right? What else can you think of? All the other areas that we've seen and we've experienced here in Barbados, not to mention the broken promises that we've been given. Huh? Right, abuse in police custody of our young people. There's so many, so many. And I think that we as a people, somebody said we need to march, and will we come out when we start back the marches? We did not do any marches for the month of August. You realize the month of August is going and we haven't done any marches, right? Are we going to come together, as it says, greater will our nation grow in strength and unity? Are we going to come together on these different issues? Are we going to say, because it's not my family and it didn't happen to me, right? Because therefore we're not going to do anything about it. Yes. So I want us to reach a stage where we say to ourselves, we're not going to take any more disrespect. You're not going to take our rights away from us anymore. This is it. Tell them. Stand your ground. That's what Praise Academy is doing. I'm not saying anything that I'm not doing. If this gentleman, Philip Springer, did not get justice the first time he went, but he insisted. And that's what Praise Academy is doing. What are you doing? Are you going to sit down and allow them to come and to take our rights? The only rights that seem to matter in this place, which I don't think that nothing is wrong, that they shouldn't have their rights, but the only rights to me that they will stand up for in here is gay rights, the LGBTQ rights. That's the only human right that exists. The same LGBTQ people that are fussing about their human rights, they should be with Mrs. Springer. They should be with Mrs. Springer when concerning the voter rights, the suppression of voters in this country. The LGBTQ community should. They should. If it's all about human rights and constitutional rights and all of these rights, why aren't they joining Mrs. Springer? Why aren't they joining us? You see? And I'm not one person who said that they should not have any rights. I don't believe in that. I'm not about taking rights from people. I am saying that what goes to goose goes to gander. Let there be justice and let there be righteousness. Let it be even. Let it be fair. Okay? And I tell you something, there's a reason they are not coming to us with that Republican Constitution. I believe that they're going to bring it the day after they've called elections, and they believe, and they because they think they're going to win. I've heard that coming from one of their MPs, secondhand information has come to me, that it's alleged that one of them said the election is coming up and they know that they're going to win. It's going to be a 30-love again. And it's because they know that they are setting a clear path for there to be a one-party government. They're going to destroy all other parties so that you have no choice. Last election, a little under 40% voted. Now it will be less. And the less and less people vote, the more, that's when they get the 30-love. So we have a choice of what it is, what we're going to do. What we're going to do about it, Barbados. All right. Well, everybody get ready. Are you sharing? Are you sharing? Are you liking? Please do get ready. Education time. Who has their book and pen? Like I'm in school. I see. I turn over a brand new leaf because I am now going to be taking some fresh notes from Senator Ryan Walters, and a businessman and a senator, and he is going to be addressing us tonight and speaking about the petrol prices. So let's welcome Senator Ryan Walters. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Marcia, and to your listeners and viewers tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am doing great. I'm excited and I'm ready. Ready to learn. I'm ready and I know everybody's all ready to ask lots of questions, etc. We were very, very thrilled, sir, when we saw your posts and your video that you put out, because we love when people stand up for this country, and that's what you're doing, sir, and we were very excited about that.
Good. Yes, Marcia, it is a very important issue. As you know, like cost of living and high prices have been like plaguing the society for a while. We hear about inflation and how inflation is imported and how the retailers have no choice but to pass on all the cost and so forth. We've also went through a process where the government, I guess, tried and they have put some initiatives in place, and after a while they just finished with them.
Yeah.
And for a while now we have not heard anything really other than a recent comment from the senior minister, who is now blaming some retailers or some distributors of maybe price gouging. He didn't use those words. But you would expect that a senior minister in government would have been coming to the people of Barbados with some sort of solution,
Yes.
some sort of solution to solving the problem of high prices in the supermarket, not coming to blame persons that are increasing their prices without consideration for the consumers. But what is interesting is that I asked the question yesterday for the second time publicly: why haven't consumers seen a reduction in the price of gas and diesel at the pump for almost 12 months? And during my preparation for the what we will call the budget response in the Senate, I focused on cost of living issues.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that I focused on as it relates to the price of diesel and gasoline at the pump. As you know, it has a very serious impact, not only on consumers and households, but on businesses as well, small businesses and so forth. If you imagine a small business, but actually today I got a call and the guy tells me that he has a business that he purchases $5,000 worth of diesel a week.
Wow.
And a 10% reduction on that could give him $500 to help pay his wages and keep people employed. So something as simple as those fluctuations in the pricing, as small as it may seem in terms of 3 cents, 4 cents, 10 cents,
Yes.
etc., they have a huge impact on individuals who are filling up their tanks to go to work, who are running around with their kids to do sporting activities and do lessons and go shopping and just family time, just to even have a drive in the country a Sunday evening, So it has a huge impact. But I raised the question during the budgeting process, and as is the norm, the government ignored, because for them, if you're not kicking up a big storm and if Marcia Weeks and her team is not getting no bad about issues, they let them slide, But I thought it was time enough now, leading up to a year, that I would raise it publicly.
Yes.
And not only raise it, but put some substance on it so that Barbadians get a real context of what I'm referring to. And normally the discussion when it comes to prices at the pump is why is the price so high when compared to other jurisdictions. We're not having that type of discussion here. We are saying to the government of Barbados that we have grown accustomed and we have been told for years that the price of oil or the price at the pump that we pay at the pump is heavily impacted by what is happening in the global environment. Once you hear that there's a global crisis of some form, whether it's war or anything like that, the same minister comes to the media, he says, brace yourself.
Yes.
Brace yourself, we have to pay more for gas. We have grown accustomed that when that happens, when the spikes happen, the price goes up. But when the price starts to come down, the price also comes down, and we also get an ease in the price. What we have seen in the last 12 months approaching is that there have been no reduction in price.
No reduction in the price, even though, and you're saying there have been fluctuations on the global market.
Yes, there have been, and we could look at some of the graphs that I did.
Yeah, you want us to do some of the graphs now?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
When we get to the graphs, we are saying, do not nitpick at the number. In other words, we've used an average price per barrel.
Yes.
Per month. It could be $85, it could be $90, $87, $86.40. It is the concept of the fluctuation of the prices that we are concerned with. Right? And we'll show you two graphs which shows that pre-September 2023, there was movement in the price at the pump, and that kind of correlated to the movement on the international market of the price of oil.
Makes sense.
And then when we look at the post-September 2023, we will see what the result is. But we have grown accustomed to prices changing on the first Sunday of every month. And we've heard that is based on negotiated prices with suppliers, which are influenced by shipping and freight rates as well. And again, which is as a result of any international crisis that might impact the territories that produce oil, etc. In some cases, Marcia, we know that there's no change. In other cases, there have been 2 cents movement in terms of increase, 5 cents decrease. Sometimes, as I said, it's constant.
Yes.
But these prices have stabilized at a very high price as well. When the price was at $4.22 per liter, and let's focus on gasoline.
Yes.
And that is over the last 2 years, I think from 2022, I think that is the second or third highest price that consumers were asked to pay at the pump. The highest, I think, went to just around $4.70. And that was when the price of a barrel of oil on the international market was over $100.
Okay.
That price is not over $100 now, but we've seen it gradually come down, and we've seen the fluctuations over time. So if you pull up the first graph, which you just
first graph. So we're gonna look now at the first graph.
Let's share that one.
Yes. While we're doing that, people, make sure that you're sharing and that you're liking. Right. This is very important for us, people. Yeah. Share and like. Share and like. It's coming up right now. Yes.
Right. So you might not be able to read all of the numbers and all that, but essentially, let me just walk you through it. Essentially, what we have two lines here. 2 lines as a line graph. We have a green and a blue. The green represents, which is the one beneath, lower, represents the movement in the price per barrel in US dollars.
Yes.
The blue line, which is above, represents the movement in the price per liter at the pump in Barbados.
Wow.
And we've chosen a price range, date range, July 2022 to September 2023.
Yes.
So, just about 14 months or so. Now, you can see that the graphs are behaving in a similar manner. Not fully, but you can see it started with a price when the price of a barrel of oil was over $110 US. You see the price there at $4.72. And as it drops, you see the price we see in the first 3 or 4 months, we see the drop as well, the correlation of the drop of the price at the pump in Barbados.
Yes.
And if you follow the graph, you will see kind of the curve kind of following it. It's not consistent.
Yeah.
And there are probably justifiable reasons for it. I went not that. But as I said, the point here is to get across to you and to the listeners and viewers that there has been movement in correlation to that price.
Yes.
And generally that has been every month. There are some situations where there are price changes in 2 months in November 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And they had that plotted there. You can't see it from the screen, but that is there. So it is not that we are on a witch hunt. It is that we are saying to the government that pre-2023, there have been changes that have correlated to what we have been told and what we've become accustomed to when it comes to the price at the pump that we pay. Now, if you go to the second graph, and this is post-September 2023, for the last 11 months, you see a continuation of that movement and fluctuation on the international market.
Wow.
What you see is a drastic decline in December of the price going to, I think, December, January, $77 a barrel versus $93 a barrel approximately on average in September. And then you see a gradual increase again up till about March or so, and then a decline again down to July.
Yes.
But again, without focusing on the exact dollar per barrel, you see the concept of movement on the market. But when you focus on our price at the pump, you see no correlation at all.
So, Senator Walters, let me just pause again because this is like school. So let's just pause so that everybody understands. So the blue line, that is our price in Barbados over the almost 1 year period. And the green light is what's happening globally. We're seeing the fluctuations globally of the price of petrol. However, we're looking at the blue line right there. If we could just put the cursor on that blue line and you're seeing it, that it's constant. Am I correct, Senator Walters?
Correct. Constant for 11 months. Yeah.
But I want to hear viewers. You see this? Look, this is so clear, right? This is so clear. I want to hear your thoughts on this, viewers. Write in the comment section. What are your thoughts? If Dave could show them, should we show them again 2023, Senator Walters? Yeah. Let's look at 2023. Look at what was happening in 2023. You notice the blue line was behaving, in the same way as the green line. The green is what's happening on the global market, and the blue, it's the petrol prices in Barbados, and they were behaving very much alike. Do you see that? Everybody, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. We came on here to be educated tonight. We're being educated tonight, okay? And this is so important. We want to thank Senator Walters for this. Take a screenshot. And now let's go, Dave, to the next graph, which is, so this is our current situation, right, Senator Walters?
Correct. This is from September onwards to July of this year. So you see that we are not seeing that movement that we've seen in the last slide correlating with the movement on the international market. We should have seen a significant dip at some point in around December, January. We got some relief. And although we would have climbed back up, we would not have climbed back to the same level that we were in September either. So we would always be below. And this peak down to the bottom here, put your cursor on the 77, right? That is about 17% reduction in the price when compared to September.
So look how that dipped. Look how that dipped.
Now, again, as I said, we don't want to get into because if you're nitpicking somebody that supports the government, because this is not a governmental, we are not on a witch hunt here. This is hardcore facts. This is a genuine concern that we have. It is a genuine concern and it should be taken like that. So we're looking at the trend. And if we are following a trend as we did previously, we should have seen a reduction along this straight line. That should be, that if we were in Kwapo, but that should be walking up, as we would say. That should be moving. That should be moving, Marcia,
Yeah.
with the graph the movement on the international market. So really, that is the bone of contention. We are not here to say, oh, the government is taking too much money in taxes on the gasoline, on those stories. We're not here to say, why is it that in other territories they are paying less? We are saying to the government, you have control over this. This is regulated. This is a price control scenario. And it is a price control based on certain circumstances. And you have now, it looks as though you have changed the way how you respond to the circumstances in which the price of at the pump is charged to consumers in Barbados. And we really need answers. We really need answers.
Yeah, yes. Senator, what do you want? What's the takeaway from this for Barbadians tonight? For you?
For me, it is we need more transparency. We need transparency, and a lot of things are happening. We do not get information enough in a timely manner.
Yeah.
I was looking for the financial report for the oil terminal for 2023. That is not available. At least when I Googled, when I searched, it was not available. I saw for 2022. So I cannot post some information that would have been prudent and timely for this session, but because it was not available, I think we need transparency. We need to have information on the critical things in this country so that Barbadians themselves can dissect, can, as you say, can learn, can follow, we're educated. So we don't want persons to always come and preach to us and tell us. We want to be able to pull up the internet, Google, find information, and answer our own questions. I mean, I Googled price changes in Jamaica. Their price is changing. I Googled in St. Vincent, the Eastern Caribbean, Grenada. Their prices have been changing. I didn't take down the dates and all that, but anybody can Google and see that there have been fluctuations this year in the price that their citizens have been charged. So my takeaway from this is, can we really trust the government to do the right thing? And I don't say that maliciously. I say that genuinely.
Genuinely, because if we can see it, if we're actually seeing it, Ryan, happening in Jamaica and in other St. Vincent and the Grenadines and other Caribbean countries, we're seeing the fluctuations. Why isn't it happening in Barbados? Why is it that we're not seeing the changes? Have you have any ideas of what is happening? Because I mean, what I'm saying is that I'm sure the government is not tone deaf. They would be hearing our cry about the high cost of living. And petrol is one of those areas that if we got a little ease on it, it will give us an ease in manufacturing, in those sectors, which will then give us an ease on the price of the product for the retailer.
Manufacturing, construction. You even have a situation where we're in hurricane season and persons were encouraged to buy generators duty free and so forth. We don't plug in generators. They use diesel. So if we're really serious about helping our citizens, we have to be serious about making sure that when there are benefits to be had, genuine benefits, that we receive them too. And we don't have to go digging, or we don't even have to come begging, because this is not a begging situation. This is a situation where you can see, it seems as though, as this writer here is saying, it is highway robbery. It seems that way to us. So either they have negotiated terms that are unfavorable to the consumers, or I mean, I do not want to suggest what could have happened. I think that they need to come and speak to Barbados on this issue. It might be a simple answer, but we really do need an answer that makes sense.
I really think so, because I have been hearing, Ryan, the kind of pressure that families are facing financially in Barbados. I've been told stories on this show where people are going to the shop down the road to buy $1 worth of flour. It's
Oh,
happening in this country, Ryan. People have said that they've seen people go to buy one onion and one Maggie cube and some macaroni. That's what's happening in this country, and I would hate to believe that the government of Barbados is tone deaf, and people are suffering like this, and this, something like this, a little ease in the prices
yes, yeah.
of the petrol price, no, would make a difference. And they watch the
Um,
show, they watch
what
the
is
show, and so we,
yeah,
we want to
Marcia?
hear from them. Yes, go ahead,
Yeah,
Senator.
not across you, but what is also interesting, I've been in a situation where I've been exposed to a number of requests for persons who are actually doing a lot of back to school drives. I've never ever seen it like this before. I mean,
Mm.
we've gotten
Tell us, what are you seeing? Tell us.
so many requests for persons that want to help those that are in need of help for back to school.
Mm.
They're having drives all across the country, so they want tents. They want to feed their workers, but they want
Mm.
to also have donations that they can give books and give school uniforms and vouchers. But it had always exists, but it is to a magnitude that I have never seen. And I've been in the position where I've had access to this for like 10 years.
Mhm.
And I kid you not, and I'm not playing. It is bad. So I understand that it is a real serious situation when it comes to managing cost outside, in terms of in the homes, and I understand the crunch that people are in and the decisions that they have to make. Right. So it's a real thing. I grew up in a household with three siblings, and even my friend and I this morning or yesterday after, we were lamenting on how we used to literally wash clothes sometimes on our school clothes, sometimes on Wednesday night, so that Thursday, Friday we will have our uniform because we couldn't, and our parents couldn't afford at all times to have five uniforms, especially when you grew out of a set. You would eventually get five over a couple of terms or something as money comes in. But I can imagine how it is now with families and trying to provide in this time. And I
Yes.
agree with you that the government should be looking at any way in which they can give a these. And this is a prime example where they have control. They have control. It is for them to make the call. It is for
Wow.
them to make the call. It is not like something coming through the port and is at a retailer. And sometimes when you wonder, when people say that, governments play politics with people, there was a time I think it was just before election,
Mhm.
when the government bought all of these uniforms from the distributors. You remember that? They bought a lot of uniforms during
Yes.
COVID, I think it was. But you're not seeing that kind of effort here now at all. We're
Yes, I
back.
remember.
We're
Yes,
back
there
out.
was
Yeah,
because we weren't wearing uniform, and that distributor would have not would have lost
could
would
have
have had a
lost.
financial loss,
Correct.
and the government bought. Yes,
Bought exactly.
yes,
But so you're not seeing that effort now. So was that an effort to help the distributor? No, you have an effort now where you need to help the people. You're not seeing that effort because the
right.
distributors are getting sales now. I assume.
Yes,
Right?
because
I heard. I
everybody's
think I heard
wearing.
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
wearing
it is
uniforms. Yeah.
it is the mindset of the government that we're dealing with here, and it doesn't seem as though they're too interested in helping us with the cost of living, and these are the simple things that they can do to assist.
That they can do for us. I was thinking
Yeah.
about an analogy. Say, I have my children here, and I'm telling them things are bad. They see that things are bad, and so on and so on. And I have a whole set of money in my bank account and not buying proper food for the children. What kind
Yeah.
of parent am I? That's some level of dysfunction and wickedness. They would that's an abusive parent. And I
Yeah.
don't want to think that we have an abusive government. There are people that are living, and I know people that are, children are sleeping on the floor, One family reached out to us this week, and thank God for the loyal opposition responding. The children are sleeping on the floor. There's
Yeah.
the lady who fell in the well 30 feet, and she had an appointment, Senator Walters, at the QE for over a year to get a second operation. And do you know that she went only on on Monday? A year. She had that waiting there for a year, because I remember asking her, when are you going? A year, an entire year. And she goes there, spends an entire day waiting, and then to be told that they have to
Wow.
postpone it to another time because they don't have the resources at
Yes, yes.
QEH. And so we are dealing with all of these things. And here we have a government here, and we're crying out, and they're doing nothing. And to me, it would be like me in my house. The people in my house are suffering, right? And I'm doing nothing about it. I just have money stored up or giving it to somebody in another house somewhere else.
Yeah, you have 30 weeks of reserves, so your central bank report looks good and sounds good, but where is the trickle down effect into the economy? Where are we not helping our people? As I sat listening to you as well, I remember there was another scheme. I think there was a grant for textbooks or something like that.
Yes.
What has become of that? What has become of that? So I don't think they're being genuine in the actions. The data there shows that we do need a response from them. I would prefer if they just reduce the price at the pump tomorrow rather than come and give us some story. I think we just need to get some relief. All of the data suggests that we should be getting some relief. I think that's the right thing to do. That is the honorable thing to do. That is the only thing to do. And I'm not legal minded, but I wonder if it is what they're doing is against the law. I need somebody to kind of find out if what they're doing is against the law, to check into that. Yeah.
The lawyers that are listening, and this is something, folks, that we're adding up the things that we're going to go on the road for, because they must give us an answer for this. We have to march. Folks, we have to march. There are too many people suffering in this country. And unless listen, they have to give us a response about this. This doesn't make sense to us. We're intelligent people. It doesn't make sense. We can look at this graph and we can say if Jamaica is adjusting its prices to the global price of petrol. Other countries in the Caribbean, they're doing
St. Lucia has adjusted, Grenada has adjusted. It just takes us to go on Google and search, and we will find this. We will see that. We can go to Google and put in Brent, I think it's the Brent crude oil price, and we can see the actual average price of oil in US dollars per barrel, so that you can judge for yourself. What we often hear is that, this is fake and this information is false and all that. Again, it is the concept here. The concept is, do not look at it if it's $77 or $74, because timing, it changes every day. We look at the concept of movement of price that suggests that there should be movement in the price at the pump, especially downwards, and not only downwards, but below the price that we have been paying since September 2023 in all cases. Not once have the data suggest that it should go above the price that we are paying, or that it should even be in line with the price that we continue to pay. 11 months. And I think the formula that they have to calculate the price at the pump should be flexible enough to recalculate what we should have been paying.
Exactly.
And then put that into the equation when they do change the price, so that we do get an ease and we get compensation at the same time.
Exactly. And I tell you, we at the Marcia Week show, the loyal opposition, I know there are accountants that are watching, there are people with legal minds that's watching. Let's support what Senator Ryan is doing. Remember what we said, it's not about, we're not looking at who is lining up behind what color. You just saw the leader of the Barbados Sovereign Party was
Very
on
good.
there, and
Very
we're
good. Very
standing with him, and we're standing with Senator Ryan. When Senator Tricia comes on, we stand with her, the leader of the opposition. It doesn't matter, folks. It's our Barbados, and this is going to be one of our marching points. We must march, and I hope CG is watching. We need a placard with these charts on it, because they need to answer us, and we're hoping that everybody join in. We need an answer, because we are suffering under this high cost of living, and this change, a small change in the petrol price, would make a difference to us.
big, a big difference.
At the groceries. It would.
Big
It
difference.
would. And so if you can't do something about that, you have the power to do it. Senator, you're not going to say it, but I said, if you have the power to do something about the prices in Barbados that's hurting us like this, and you don't do it, to me, this is an abusive government. But Senator Walters, is there anything else that you want to say to the people of Barbados?
Oh, what I would say is that we have a lot of work in the pipeline. All right, we're going to be doing a lot of analysis on key issues, on the financial issues in terms of taxes and what we're doing with the tax dollars, etc. So you will be back, but as we roll them out, you will see as we roll them out in the media. But on behalf of the people of Barbados, we will be putting our heads down and our brains together and doing analysis on the key things that have been affecting the consumers and the key things that have been affecting the country in general.
Yes, Senator, thank you so much for the work that
You're
you
welcome.
do.
Thank you for the time as well.
Barbados. Yes, all the nights, late nights. People don't realize how much, and they are not really paid anything much for it. It's a service of love. And Senator Walters, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And we're so proud of what you're doing, and we're going to be supporting you on this journey. Okay. God bless you, and all the best for your tomorrow. Is it tomorrow or Friday for your conference?
Friday this weekend. Yes? Thank you very much, and have a good night.
God bless you, sir. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Wow, that was really tremendous. Yes, Colin, we wanted, I know you have questions, Colin. I'm going to have to let you ask those at the very end. You might have wanted to ask them directly to Senator Ryan. But because of how we've set up the program, we're doing that at 9 o'clock. And he told me half hour. You only had half hour, all right? But don't, what you can do, Colin, because we want to hear those questions, the 236-7000, you can either write the questions and send them to me, and I will be able to pass them on to him, or you can put them right here in the chat. And we have some admin persons there that I know Rameem would gather them for me, and there's some other people there who will gather the questions for me for Senator Ryan. But he really had to run, and he told me since last night that he only had a half hour. All right, now, folks, how you're hearing this kind of thing? What's going through your mind? Let's take a few minutes and process this, family, before we rush to we have a fisherman that is right here, ready to come in. Mr. Charles is here. I can see him in the green room, and he's going to be talking to us about what they're enduring there in the fishing industry. Can you, what are your thoughts about what you just saw? First of all, do you understand it? Right? And what are your thoughts about it? Let me hear you before I bring in Mr. Charles. Okay, I'm giving us 2 minutes. Okay, so let's hear. Nobody. No thoughts about it. I'm hoping. Yes, okay, somebody's saying that they understand it. Tamika says that she understands it. They want to know why the members of the BLP have not replied to the public's questions. So some of you need to, why don't you write your MPs? This is very serious because what you don't understand, a little change in the price of petrol will cause change for us, even at the groceries. I tell you, just a little change. It will make a difference, folks. Right? Simone Daniel is one of his economic sabotage. Tyrone is saying that Barbadians are getting unfair to the highest level, and he's hoping that all Barbadians are observing it. Vihoy is saying that she's concerned that Bajans, despite everything that is happening, is still not standing up. Somebody said they feel vexation, another area where the people are being conned. And all it took was somebody researching it. Somebody says robbery. This is wow. You know, really, 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 it is from one thing to the next. One thing to the next. Yes? Let's welcome Charles. Good night, Charles.
Good night. Good
Oh,
night to all
wonderful.
your listeners and viewers.
Yes, sir. I am so happy that that you're able to join us tonight, Charles. Charles, can you tell us and welcome to the Marcia Week show. Can
Thanks for
you
having me.
listen, you have become so you've become so famous. I see you in the nation. I see you in Barbados today. What's going on, Charles? Can you tell us, first of all, before you tell us what's going on, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Charles and what does he do?
Um, I'm not even going to go that far. Charles is the person who wants to have a meeting with the Prime Minister. Bottom line.
You want to have a meeting with the who? With whom?
With the PM, the Prime Minister. And
Ah,
that is paramount. We've been around for quite a while. As I said before, when the Prime Minister first won the government, she came to Oystins and asked
yes.
us to hear our grievances and what our problems were. We did that.
So hold a minute. So you tell us the story. So this was in 2018.
Yeah, just after she won the government.
Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
And she came and we showed her, we didn't only tell her, we showed her what the problems were. And we knew that it wouldn't be a quick fix to get the crane and everything hauled up for the jetties. Although they had a crane there from the previous government and they neglected it and then refused to put back anything there to haul up the boats. All right. We forgive them for that. Barbadians are forgiving people. She made some promises and then she brought in Mr. Busy Williams as the person to go between, as to talk with us. He came, he listened to us. He brought in an engineer also from Port St. Charles. We listened to them. Like I said, we knew it wasn't going to be a quick fix. So we told them and her, all we would need is for the security and the rocks and boulders to move from the entrance of the slipway. Because when you're hauling up your boats, the wheel of the boat hit the rocks, and sometimes the boat topple over or it goes to the other side of the rocks, and you can damage your boat.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, a week before birth, me and my friend Chinese, we call him Chinese, had to take off our clothes and went and save one of the small boats. That the same thing happened. But the thing about this, right, is that it isn't like we were pushing them. We knew the government was young and it needed time to get its stuff together. So we got a hold of a guy who had a boat. He also owns a construction firm, and I can say his name, Mr. Riley. And we asked him if what he would do it first, clear the stuff away first, and how much it would cost. He said, look, you all guys seem pretty keen and stuff. I would do it free. I would bring my equipment. I would move the rocks and clear the slipway free. We went back to fisheries and let them know what we were about. And the answer we got was something out of this world. They let us know that we cannot move those rocks. The oldest body can bring equipment and move rocks among it is Soil and Conservation Commission. And it baffles me because
So hold a minute there, Brother Charles. Hold a minute. So
okay.
you're saying that you had a situation. Let's start the story. So the story, what you're telling us is that in 2018, when this government came into power, there was actually a crane that was there, a piece of equipment that was there from the previous government, but they kind of left it and they didn't want to use it. The regular
Correct.
thing, right? They chose
Correct.
not to use equipment that was there from the previous government. I want you all to
Correct.
listen and to take notes of what Brother Charles is saying to us. So there was equipment there from the previous government. They didn't want to use it. And the Prime Minister, according to you, you're alleging that the Prime Minister brought Mr. Busy Williams and to look at the situation and said, okay, they said, all right, they're going to help you all. You realize that they were taking a long time. And as industrious as the fishermen are, although people are saying, oh, they need to help themselves, you decided to help yourselves as a group of men. And you went to someone who
Mr.
had
Riley.
an equipment, Mr. Riley, right?
Correct, yeah.
You went to Mr. Riley, and Mr. Riley said, man, I will help you all. You are trying to help yourselves. I'm going to help you because I know I don't want anything to happen to your boats. So Mr. Riley said, I'm going to start the process, and I'm going to use my equipment and move the stones away from that area for free so the process can start. You then went to the fisheries department, correct?
The fisheries officer, yeah.
The fisheries officers, and you were quite excited to tell them that Mr. Riley said, man, we will help you. We're going to help you to get this work done. And alas, the fisheries department, the fisheries office said, no, not so fast. Only the government can move these boats.
Yes, only coastal zone management and can do that.
Only the coastal zone management.
Which was amazing to me. Because I would think that would have saved the government quite a few pennies, seeing that I had been a member of something called the Austin Small Boat Association.
Yeah.
And we knew that the slipway was always a problem. So we went to O'Neill Williams, and he gave us a breakdown for that same slipway. As a matter of fact, I think if I search, I can find the literature and the discussions we had with him, along with the crane that he suggests would have worked perfectly for us. But nobody listened to us because I guess I'm not a Williams. I'm just Charles and a Haywood. So everybody, the Prime Minister, of course, bring in who she chooses to bring in to get the job done, instead of listening to people who had already went through the process. That's the hurtful thing. And you know one of the things about it, had they just moved the stones, my boat today would not have been broken up. People are asking me why I asked for 1%. It is simple. Why should I not ask for 100%? When I give her years to fix the problem, I turn around and had the problem that I could get the problem fixed free. And every turn, every time I make a move to get it done, I will stop. Who is to blame? I'm to blame?
No, because you were trying to listen. Yeah, Mr. Harewood, let me just say to the viewers, because I remember being on the show and saying to people, stop judging the fishermen. Listen to what Mr. Harewood is saying. Mr. Harewood is saying, though the government promised them that the government would fix the slipway so that they can protect their boats. They didn't just start this, this is going on for years. They have been advocating and trying to help themselves. And when the government did not move on this and didn't do, they said, it's a young government, they just started. Mr. Harewood and the Oyston small business boat owners decided that they were going to try to help themselves, and they got somebody to sponsor it to do it free. But the
Free.
government said, no,
You
you
can't
can't do
touch
it
it.
because you can't touch it because you are not the coastal zone management. So
Correct.
they, oh wow.
And then at the back of it, okay, we knew the slipway is a little tricky. Some
Yes.
people would take the chance and haul up, and if they get away with it, they get away. But then you call on the time with the hurricane, you tell us to take our boat to safe harbor in town.
Mm-hmm.
And you see what safe harbor is, right? You see the destruction, you see the damage, right? Now I'm saying to you, right, had my boat been crushed like sand and all these things, I would
Mm-hmm.
say nothing to the government. I'll tell you why. Because my boat came ashore behind Lexi shop. The government tell me get my stuff together. They come and take pictures and see the damages and everything. They told me well, sending my bills and stuff. The Canadian grant would sort this out. The grant, they have money there from the grant. I did that. After about 2 months, I carry my stuff. They tell me that nothing didn't come true yet. I said, well, okay, well, it's government. Government takes long to do things. After about a year, I went back and I was treated like if I was begging for this thing. So I said to see myself, I ain't dealing with government for nothing but nothing. If my boat took me 20 years to get back in the water, that's the road it was going ahead. But it is too much right now. It looks like every time we let these people get away with the nonsense, right? That they
Mm-hmm.
keep doing worse. They keep taking you for granted. And I think I've had enough. It's about
Yeah.
time that this government is held accountable for some of the foolishness that is happening. We had a meeting the minister had a meeting on Zoom yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I would show you the chat. The people want to know what this meeting kept for. He was asking questions about what's going on with the boats. I mean, you can imagine the minister don't know what's going on in the boarding world, and we just had a disaster where people's lives is disrupted, and people. We got fishermen right now taking their flying fish net, going out to the jetty, putting it wrong in a circle, and running jacks in it to get money to get by. Right now, it happened for the past 4 or 5 days. You can quote me. As a matter of fact, I might send you a picture on it. I got pictures on it. These are the kind of things that we're going through right now. I went to the last meeting concerning the boat owners at the fisheries, and I'll tell you why that's a farce. I went in there for 1 hour, and I had my hand hold up for over 5 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody allowed me to speak. It took a good friend of mine, Mr. Cox, to shout over the room in a manner that I don't even want to tell you, fight to get a word in. And when I got my word in, I asked, so what's all this thing about ice boat and longliners? What happened to the boats with the engines on the outside
My God.
behind? Nobody can. I mean, even the chairman could not answer that. It's very frustrating. And it looks like every time you ask them what is going on, the first thing they say is, well, we got to go to the chief. You got to go to Miss Marley. She's the last word. So my grouse is this. If every time I ask you what is going on, and you are telling me I have Miss Marley, it's best I go direct to the source, wouldn't it?
Yes, that makes sense. But there's something. This is your boat that is up here. And I have to say that I met with Mr. Charles Harewood yesterday, along with there were 3 or 4 other fishermen there. That
Yes.
we sat down and we chatted yesterday, and these are hard working men. They want to work. They're sitting down there, but they want to work, and they can't work because their boats are destroyed. And as you heard them say, I want you to, some of you weren't hearing too clearly, but I want you to hear and understand, because I see questions are being asked that he has already said. that his boat, there was nothing for him to remove his boat. His boat, he was told to take his boat to safe harbor. But remember, listen, Barbadians, to what Mr. Harewood is saying, that years before that, they found a solution free of cost for themselves, where they could create a safe place, but they would not allow them to do it because they said that they were not part of the coastal zone management. So they're saying that the government is going to do it. Did you hear him? That's what Mr. Not my story, what Mr. Harewood is saying.
And I
He's
stand by
saying that
every
all
word.
these years they couldn't do anything because they were told the coastal zone management needs to do it. They got somebody, Mr. Riley, to help them to move the big stones so that they could create an area, right, and to deal with the slip away. But they weren't allowed to do it. Did you hear that? Especially for those of you who keep blaming the boat owners. The prime
But
minister,
Marcia,
yes. Mhm.
Marcia, it gets better. You wouldn't believe this. I mean, it gets. I know you don't think it could get better, right? All right. Take this. I went the day after the hurricane. Listen to me carefully. The day after, not 10 days after. And I went to one of the prime minister's so-called contacts.
Mhm.
I don't want to call his name because I know how your shows and I don't want nobody,
Mhm.
And I told him, look, I know things kind of red now, it's hot, but I can give you a solution that will cover oysters. Oysters have 6 boats down, 6 more boats, Masha. I said,
Mhm.
look, the Coast Guard takes up drug boats daily.
Yes.
There gotta be 6 in there that will cover the 6 oystermen.
Mm.
If the prime minister knows that the cases is done, I'm sure there are more than 6. Okay, I got inside information that there are more than 6 that is available. If
Mhm.
the prime minister wants to solve the oyster problem, one time she
Mhm.
can take the 6 of us. Let us take 6 boats. We already told her once you give us the 6 boats and give us the grant, we usually help one another. You see, we still helping
Mhm.
government. We usually help. We don't want the loan. My age, I can't take it. And most of the guys ain't going to take it because they know that it'll be held to pay back. A fisherman salary is not certain. Don't mind what
Mhm.
people might think, but they make a lot of money. That's pure junk. Look at the carriage the fisherman is driving. Look at the rice they're thing. Look at some of the houses. I mean the one that getting late. I mean the one that really do fishing. Look
Mhm.
at their livelihood and you will see. Anyhow, I went to them and I said, look, take 6 of us. I think this is the very reason. And let us pick up these boats. This 6 boats would take us about a month to get back in the water. Once the
Yeah.
engine on them is functioning and everything. You can tell me you're interested in the industry. And I give you that you got 6 more fishing vessels in the water within a month. And you don't even look at me, you don't even give me a hearing. You could be curious about us.
Mm.
That's what you think.
Because you're trying to
Come on,
find
man. We
you're
can't be
you're
that stupid.
Mr. Harewood, you are trying to find solutions. That's what
Oh,
I get
shucks.
here. You are not sitting on your hands and waiting on the government, Mister. At
No, we
every
are not.
turn, I met them yesterday. I went down to Oysters and I went and met them, and these are hard-working men. Now, this is your boat here, and your boat is destroyed, isn't it?
Yes, you can see the other side. I sent you 3 of those clips, but if you look at the first 2, you'll see what's happened to it. Right? This is my boat when it finished. So for there to come now, right now the fishers is telling us get an estimate on what the boats are. That's why I don't like the rubbish of the government. Because in order for you to pass and go to the sea, you have to take an inspection from fisheries. If
Mm.
fisheries say you're not good enough for the sea, that means your boat is not in A1 condition. That means you cannot fish. So
Yeah.
anytime they want to know what your boat is cost and they pass it, it means it would have to be in A1 condition. So for them to come and tell us though, or get an estimate of what it is, they already have the pictures in our fisheries and they give us the license on the side because it is up to date and it is up in peak condition. So they know what the price of our boats is even better than us.
Yes, they would know. They
So they
definitely would
just
know.
playing us,
No, no, no.
just
We
playing us
only have
stupid.
5 minutes left, right?
Okay, okay,
Right.
okay.
Now, let me just say to the audience, and you can correct me. When we spoke yesterday, one of the things that hurt a lot of you is the fact that they are taking care of the larger fishing boats are being taken care of. It's a small oyster, small business boat owners that are
Correct.
not being taken care of. Can you
Yeah.
confirm if that is so?
Not only I can confirm, I can show you the proof because they take a little unit overseas to look at boats, and not one of those people in that unit went to look at a small boat. Can you believe that? So
So
they're not
no,
looking at us.
the small, they're not to Barbadians, and this is why Mr. Charles Harewood is going to anybody who will listen to him.
Anyone.
Will you listen to Mr. Charles Harewood tonight? Listen, you might not be going through, but listen to what he's saying. He's saying that they're focusing on those that have bigger boats, but the small boat owners, they're in oysters, that nobody's paying them any mind. And yesterday you told me what your rent is due. What's your financial situation without telling us your business, but just give us a general idea what is
The
really
rent is
happening.
behind.
Yes.
Rent
Yeah.
is behind. The bills came in yesterday. I haven't seen the money yet to pay them. Um, Food. I will tell you that I'm pretty good with food. If I tell you that somebody give me some, don't doubt that. But at the same time, I am a giver too. And there's
Mhm.
some guys that are kind of homeless down the road that I share my stuff with too. I don't
So
want to
you
call their
mean
name,
some of
probably
the
to tell them
fishermen
can.
or some of the you have fishermen that are homeless?
Um, no, this is not fishermen as such, but they help us when we bring in the fish. They offload.
Ah,
They would
mhm.
take care of our boats. If our boats break the chain, they would call us because we had numbers on the shed out by the jetty. So this is guys that you need, even though you might not think they're. And one or two of them just became homeless the other day. Thanks for the economic situation in this country. But two good friends of mine, they're sleeping in that gazebo in the back there.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, I remember going to help my friend Moore with his boat. And when I got down there for 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
I see about 15 guys eating food. I just got up from my bed. Moore called me to help because his boat was in trouble. Because we have something called the Rapid Response Unit, whereby certain people are called out of bed any hour, anytime if you got to go and help. Anyhow, when I got down there and I looked, I said about 15 guys eat. Well, no, there was 17 guys, and I count them for myself. And about 15 of them were eating. I said, hey, guys, we're probably going to get food from this man just called me on my bed, and I want to get something to eat. You know what he told me? The guy laughed. And I sorry to show you, Marcia, because he would have confirmed everything. He said, next time you can always I'm going to put him in front of you, and we're going to talk to him. He
Yeah.
said, look, he's called me Red Man. Red Man, my them fellas went there. I said, have me a vent there. What's there? I want something to eat. I'm going to buy something. And he showed me the garbage. But that wasn't hurtful, you know.
They were
That wasn't
eating, so
hurtful.
these guys were eating from the garbage.
Yes, that wasn't hurtful. You know the hurtful part? What he said about Red Man down here bad, you know. If you go to the top of our stand there are more guys up there than down here. So I said, well, wait, man, how this situation get like this? He said, well, things hard.
So,
Things hard.
Mr. Sherwood, you're going too fast for us. So hold a minute. You're telling me that some of these guys that help you to get the fish off, haul the boat out, and so on, that you're finding that more and more they're becoming homeless, and that some of them are actually eating. Like, these are not mad. They're not mad. They're not crazy. They are just getting
No,
food and they're eating up the garbage. Like, sane people are eating up the garbage.
Marcia, I am asking you to hold me to it. Come to Oystins. I'm going to let you talk with a few of them. You come to Oystins. I put in my neck on the block for it. You and I'm going to put them in front of you to talk to you. Simple. Don't take my word for it. You come. I invite
Wow.
you.
Barbados, are you hearing this? Did you hear what he said? And I've deliberately
Go to
repeated because
Oystins anytime. Go to Oystins anytime. A Friday night, Saturday morning, between 2 and 2:30. Opposite, right in front, let's see there where the benches and stuff are, and just sit down and watch.
Wow. Oh my goodness. My
So
goodness. Wow. Well,
it is that easy to do.
listen. This is so terrible. This is so terrible.
But
You know,
Mars, there's one other
wow.
thing. Marcia, one thing quick. I know my time is up, huh? One thing quick. I
Mm,
remember your guy was talking about the fuel just now, right?
yes.
I'll tell you something about the fuel. All the big boats in Barbados get a little concession. They don't pay the VAT on the fuel. Would you believe
Yes.
that we have more small boats in Oistins than big boats? And the
Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister would not take off the VAT off of the gas for us. That can be fair, Marcia.
Repeat, you chopped out there a little bit. The prime
Okay.
minister would not what?
Would not take off the VAT off the gas from the small boats. I don't know what small boats do to her.
So
But the big
wow.
boats get concession. They don't pay VAT on the fuel, on the diesel. But the small
Oh,
boatmen have to pay VAT on the gas. This is not fair.
oh wow. But don't you see? Listen, V. Hoy, Jefferson Ward, Kyle Watson. Come on, Barbadians. Come on, Barbadians. Forget about the colors now. Stop thinking about colors and party right now. Listen to your brother on this line. Okay? Listen to your brother on this line here. That he's talking to you. Listen to what he's saying. Do you hear what he's saying? Do you hear that he's saying that the small boats are not, they're not giving any concession to the small boats for petrol, for fuel, but they're giving it to larger boats? Don't you see
So
the pattern here with this government? The small businesses are squeezed and strangled to death.
squeeze right
Don't
out
we
of the
see that?
situation. So Marcia, this is my last question, and I'm going to ask this not only to the Prime Minister but to your audience. So since I am taken advantage of, even with the fuel, why should I get only 25%? Why should I not get the 100%, seeing that you already thieving it from me with the fuel? Tell me why I shouldn't get 100%. That's why I want to talk to the Prime Minister. I have some
Mm,
questions. Of course, I know she ain't talk to me. That's why I had to find that avenue. She don't like hard questions.
mm.
Anyhow,
Yes,
we'll see
yes,
how it
yes.
goes. We'll see how it
This is really, really sad. Regardless, I know Timmy, you're saying be mindful that it is one perspective. I understand that, and that's why, Timmy, I actually went down there for myself yesterday. You understand? And not just that, but what Charles doesn't know is that I checked with others to corroborate his story. He doesn't know that, but I did that before I went down there, and even with people down there. So, Timmy, I did try to get other perspectives, and the bottom line is that the small boats, yes, the prime minister said that she was going to meet with them and so on. The problem, if we could just listen to what the gentleman is saying, what he's saying is that they are focusing on the large boats, but he and the others who have their boats have been destroyed or partially destroyed, they are suffering. Did you hear him? The people that work for them, that help them to haul the boats out of the water when they come with the fish, and help them to you know to get the fish off the boat and so on. I don't know the other terminology. A lot of those guys are homeless and become even more homeless because they don't have food. They can't get, these guys cannot pay them. He said he went down there 2:30 in the morning and he saw men that were not madmen. These are not crazy men that are eating the garbage that we leave down there when we leave Oystins. You know, we go to Oystins and we buy our fish for 40 and 50 and $60 a plate. When we leave the garbage, a lot of these persons who work on the boat are eating the garbage. Same
I'll
people.
say, Marcia, I'll do better than that. I am going to go down there Friday, and I'll send you a picture. A
Yes,
picture's
sir.
worth 1,000 words, right? I'll send you a picture. I'll
It's
send you
true.
a picture.
I went down there. Mr. DeJohn, you're correct. I went for myself, Mr. John, and I spoke to those men. And what Mr. Charles didn't know, I was speaking to people coming in, and I called people and checked before I went down there. I love to corroborate my stories. Do you
You should.
understand? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you that this is not right. What is going on? This is our fellow Barbadians. And you know what I hate most of all, Mr. Charles, is the way
Yeah.
we judge one another.
Correct.
If you didn't come and tell us the story here, if you didn't come and tell us what's happening, right? You know, the fact that you were trying to help yourself, what the narrative that is going out there is that you all are sitting down and waiting on government, but it's really not so. It's not so. They're trying to help
No, we
themselves.
don't. We are not. As a matter of fact, guys start looking for boats and trains. People giving. I'll give you this one. People are giving some of the guys older boats because they know we usually help one another. So we band together. I do the carpentry and some fiberglass. The other guy, Chinny, do the electricity thing. George do the engines. So we band together so that the cost in getting these boats in the water won't be that much. And not only for us, but we doing it so the government won't have to pull their pockets in a hard way too. Now, if we is doing all that,
Hmm.
why can't the government extend his hands and at least give us a start? How are we going to get a boat in the water with 25%? Then they tell you that once you start the boat, they can give you this 25%. But your boat is completely destroyed. So that means you would never start, and that will never be allotted to you.
And you need more than the 25%. You need 100%. The reason you need a hundred
But I just
percent
said it. I
Yes.
just said it. I'm not working anywhere really. If a fella calling me one or two little things, do I go and do it? That's it. But that's it. That's it.
This is very sad tonight, guys. This is very sad. And what I want us to take away from us, almost 1,000 of you watching between Facebook and YouTube. I want to say to everybody watching, always try not to be. I find that us Barbadians, we love to put a lot of judgments on people, especially on our poor people. We see stories where people are eating up the garbage, or people are sleeping under a tree, a woman that have 8 children, and we love to make judgments. We don't know the full story, but we love to make judgments on them. I want you to hear what he's saying. And sometimes, I like to meet people myself. I like to meet them, and I went down there and I met them, and I could see that these are not people sitting on their hands. These are not lazy people. They were just dealt a bad deal,
Yeah,
you
they
know.
just go through some little personal problems that they're not mad. These guys is guys we can send the supermarket. We can send them for a part in town. Once we give them bus fare and little lunch money, they're gonna do it. These is guys that once we scrubbing the boat, we cleaning the boat, bottom of the thing. We don't have to worry no about going and get the grub from the supermarket. These is guys that do all of these little things to get a little money to buy food or to buy a little cigarette or a lot of them smoke. They're not mad. If you're mad, you can keep them around. You'd probably burn down your boat.
Hmm.
They're not mad. They're just guys that would need a little help. That's all it is. But like we have a caring government, so this thing is supposed to happen like this. You know what I mean? The shirt says it. The T-shirt says it. You know. Hey. Anyhow, Marcia, I'm
Yeah.
glad you give me this voice.
Yeah,
I
I'm
appreciate
still
it very
stunned,
much.
Charles. I'm sitting here and just stunned and shaking my head. And is it, I don't know why
I
they're punishing the people in Oistins.
I would corroborate
Why are
all
they
this
being
with
punished?
pictures.
Huh?
I would corroborate all this with pictures. I'm going to send you the pictures so that then you could come and check it for yourself. Because you will see the faces of these guys and you can come and talk with them. They will talk to you. I'm sure
Yes,
they will talk to you.
I promise you, Mr. Charles. I am going to come because, you know, the people said to me, Mrs. Weeks, why didn't you bring a camera? They said it to me. They said, where you should have brought a camera. And
Exactly.
yes, I said, because we were just coming from our vacation, and I told my husband about it, and he's such a good trooper. He's such a Bajan, and he said, let's stop
Okay.
there and see the people. And we stopped, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad I stopped, Mr. Charles, to meet you, to see your face, to shake your hand, give you a hug, and to talk with the guys down there. It was a real privilege of mine, and it's an
Mars,
honor tonight
anytime.
to have you on the show.
It's, no, we thank you. I thank you for giving me a voice. I hope the Prime Minister hears and have that meeting. Why would I want to have a meeting with the Prime Minister if I don't have anything important to discuss? If she thinks that's it, just come and hear me. And
Yes.
I'm warning you, I haven't let go some of the stuff that I want to ask her. Because I know she would find a counter for it. I know the type of person I'm dealing with. So I kept back certain things so that when she comes, I'm going to ask her on it. So I'm waiting
Yes.
for her. Somebody, please get a meeting for me. Please.
Yeah, and they listen to the show. If you're listening, those of you who are listening from the government, please, please, it's very important that you meet with the small boat owners of oysters. This is another issue, Mr. Charles, that we are adding up the issues that we are going to put together, and we are going to be marching on the streets of Barbados. So I'm going to keep in touch with you. And if
I
you're
appreciate
not
it.
getting what you need, you bring all of those men with us on the streets of Barbados, every one of them. And I'm going to come down. I will come down, I promise you. And I'm going to bring my camera. And we're not just going to bring camera, but we're going to bring some food. All the loyal opposition will help me to bring some groceries to those men. We're not just going to come with cameras. That's not what we do. We're Barbadians. That's not what we do. We're going to walk with some groceries for them. That's what's
Appreciate
going
it.
to happen.
Appreciate it much, dear.
Yes,
Appreciate
yes,
it
and
much,
some
dear.
cooked. We're going to come with some cooked meal and some groceries as well. Because if it's homelessness, then they can't cook. So we will bring some stuff that they can eat. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
Mr. Charles, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
for having me. Huh? Thanks
Before
for
you
having
go,
me.
let me see if there's any questions. I didn't do that on the last segment because the other person had to run. Any questions for Mr. Charles? As much as
Thanks,
he's
Dujan.
broken our hearts so much. Can anybody questions? Any questions that you have for him? I know somebody was saying, why didn't you take out your boat out the water? But you did, right?
Why did I?
There's someone was asking why didn't you take the boat out of the water?
Why didn't I? Because it
Yes,
was a risk to pull it up in the slipway. My birthing place is Oystins. If I
yes,
had bring it in Oystins, I might have been stuck and then it would go on the rocks. So I reckon that they told us that the safe one for boats is in town. So we carried it in town where they told us would be the best place to take it.
and you did.
That
You
we
took it
did.
to town. Yeah.
That we did. We tied it up properly, everything, and you know the end results in the
Yes.
safe haven.
Somebody's saying as well that isn't the prime minister already said that she's taking care of it and she's meeting with you? You've answered that question already, right?
No, she have not. She's not meeting with us. No, she's not meeting us with us. I asked for a meeting. Me and the other 6 guys that got their boats destroyed. We went through the the chat in Oystins, whereby the fisheries CEO, Miss Cox, she's on it every day. I asked to see, and I asked what's the happenings with the small boat. She never respond up to this day.
Yeah, she hasn't responded. There's another question here, and I'm looking for it. It's a question and it's a comment, and it's one of those comments that is very judgmental. And I'm looking for it because I want to bring it up because this is what I hear sometimes from the people on the streets. And he's saying it says, and I want to find it. If somebody can help me to find it, he's calling you up. He says, if the PM did the PM send the oh He said, Chelston Nichols is asking, the PM is who sent the hurricanes out, fool. Now, I'm deliberately bringing this up because I don't know if Charleston was here for the complete discussion that you had. Were you saying that the PM brought the hurricane?
Of course, I didn't say that. How could the PM bought the hurricane? If the PM had bought the hurricane, she would got that same divine power to make my boat whole again. Oh, great person. You see, that's the thing, right? When you get these kind of comments, you don't want to be you sound biased or anything. Of course, did the PM make somebody's house burn down and then she set them up in the house? No, she didn't. But what you do things to help the people, especially in a disaster such as this. If the PM is not lifting or pulling her weight, you shouldn't talk about it, especially when
Yeah.
it is affecting you.
Yes. Yes.
Come on.
But I
Come on.
wanted to bring that up. Well, let me just say to you, thank you for sharing with us. And I promise you, I am going to come and we're going to bring something for those men. And
Okay.
the camera to highlight the camera will use to highlight their situation. But
No problem.
yes, but importantly, what we're going to do is we're going to also bring something for them to eat. Okay.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much, Charles, for sharing with us, Charles Harewood, for sharing your current story with us, and we're hoping
Oh,
that you will get some relief, sir.
okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for
Okay.
having me.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
God
Okay.
bless.
Okay, thanks. Well, you too. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye bye. Oh, Barbados! Do we hear and see what's going on in Barbados? And would you believe that if these persons are allowed to have, if the government is allowed to have its way and to pass all these different bills that they want to pass, we wouldn't even be able to have a show like this. Do you all realize that we would not be able to have a show like this? He would not be able to come on here and give his thoughts about what has happened to him because of how he's been treated by the government. Because the government could say, well, whoever the minister, or the person in charge of the fisheries division can say, well, my feelings were hurt. I felt insulted, right? I was offended. Because if they have their way with the cybercrime bill, listen, Mr. Charles Harewood would not be able to come on the show tonight and be able to air his concerns and say, I went to see this particular person in government. He wouldn't be able to do it because once he has offended somebody, he would be liable to 7 years up to 7 years in jail or $70,000 if he offended, insulted, hurt anybody's feelings. And the law says even if it is the truth. So he doesn't have to be saying telling lies, even if he tells the truth. And just before we go to the audience, I see Paul is here from the audience to speak. We do have, I promise you that Julio would join us, and he is right here with us, and he is a human rights activist and a lawyer as well. He has been reading over our cybercrime bill, and we just have 15 minutes in this segment, but he's going to greet us and tell us his views on the Barbados cybercrime bill. Welcome, Julio.
Well, thank you, Marcia, for having me. Very pleased to be
Yes,
here.
it's a pleasure, and I just want to publicly say that the advice and the help you have been giving us, we're not going to hide and say we're not getting any help. You are helping us free of cost, because there are lots of things that we don't, we might not be able to understand. You have gone this road before, and you've dealt with a lot of human rights abuses. And so you're the man. Your organization is who we need to come to. So can you tell us, Julio, what are your thoughts on the cybercrime bill that you have read for Barbados?
Yes, so as you said, at ADF International, we combat global censorship. We have been fighting this fight for many, many years now. And this is precisely what we do. We look into how to defend the rights and freedoms of the people at all levels in different places of the world, in different parts of the world, and at an international with international law and within the national systems as well. We are really concerned how the West has become increasingly trying to censor its citizens more and more. We have and are fighting this kind of bills in other places in Europe, for instance. In Ireland, the Irish hate speech bill is similar to the Scottish hate speech bill, and similar situations that are happening in Mexico, for example, in the continent, and in Brazil, in which the electoral tribunals and the courts, the Supreme Federal Tribunal in Brazil, are censoring their citizens for their speech online and offline, but especially online. And this is precisely what we're seeing in Barbados with this proposed bill that, as you know, would reform or replace the Computer Misuse Act from the year 2005. The many things are we could say about the bill. We're just going to focus on the things that matter for this conversation, which are censorship, and that we can find especially in Articles 19 and 20 of the bill. Why 19 and 20? Because these articles, as you might recall, especially Article 19, which is called malicious communications, uh, from the term, from the name, is already vague. Malicious communications. What does malicious communications means? That is precisely the question, and that is the question that opens and leads us to see this bill as a bill that will allow censorship over its citizens. This precise article was not in the previous bill, was not in the Computers Misuse Act. Is a totally creation and a new creation for this new bill. It says, as you have already read to the public, I'm going to read again just because it's important for us to know what are the dangerous parts of this and the vague terms, the broad terms, the not determined terms, which are that leads to an interpretation that, because it's precisely as I said already vague, it can be used for censoring any comment online in this case, because it's a bill on computer communications, computer systems, that would be somehow harmful or offensive to someone, and determined by whom, that is also the question. Article 19.1 says a person who intentionally or recklessly uses a computer system to publish, broadcast, or transmit computer data that a intimidates a person or threatens to use violence towards a person or a member of his family, or damage the property of the person or the property of his family, would be liable and to the following. Point two, a person who intentionally or recklessly uses a computer system to publish, broadcast, or transmit data that includes uh, uh, private sexual photographs and videos with the consent of a person who appears in them, with intent to humiliate, harass, or cause substantial emotional distress of that person. And then we go to part three, which is the one that is dangerous, because it's, of course, contains different
Yes.
elements. A person who intentionally uses a computer system to disseminate any image or words, not caring whether they are true or false, and causes or is likely to cause a subject or person to ridicule, contempt, or embarrassment, is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000 or imprisonment for a term of 7 years or both. And then it clarifies when we say intimidate in this third description of the criminal type, which is the one that matters to us,
Yes.
the other two matter less. It says intimidation means to cause in the mind of a reasonable person injury to himself, any member of his family, or his dependents. In the mind of any reasonable person, an apprehension of violence or damage to any person or property, or substantial emotional distress. So the connection of this idea of substantial emotional distress
Mhm.
as being intimidation, and intimidation being the uh, effect uh, of the use of computer systems to cause ridicule, contempt, embarrassment, or intimidation. It is, as I said before, it is very broad, it is very vague. Uh, and this can be interpreted in many different ways. One of them, especially, and this is the critical part, as basically creating a right to not be offended. If somebody feels offended by what I said online, can or would be able to pursue an action against me and the government, of course, through the authority that would enforce this law, would come after me for expressing online any view of mine that could cause this kind of embarrassment, so
Mm.
emotional distress. That is precisely the effect of the action that the law would consider illegal. But more importantly, is Article 20 of cyberbullying. And this is, I'm clarifying myself. I said before that Article 19.1 was not in the previous bill, but that is, I was referring to Article 20.1. 20.1, cyberbullying, it is the new addition to this law. Uh,
Yeah.
it says a person who intentionally uses a computer system to publish, broadcast, or transmit data that is offensive, pornographic, indecent, vulgar, profane, obscene, or of a menacing character, or causes any such data to be sent for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, embarrassment, insult, injury, humiliation, intimidation, hatred, anxiety, or causes substantial emotional distress to that person, is guilty of an offense and is liable of summary conviction to a fine of $70,000 or to imprisonment for a term of 7 years or both. This article, this idea of criminalizing, penalizing cyberbullying with these overreaching terms, broad terms, the broadest of all possible terms, vague terms, indeterminate terms, it is worrisome. It is worrisome because how could the judge that's applying this law know what, if any, of any expression online, what of them and how of them could cause embarrassment, annoyance, inconvenience, danger? We see that all these descriptions, all these terms have different levels on every person because they are entirely subjective. So then it means that the criminal law would be applied not according to a standard to all the citizens alike, a standard that's precisely prescribed in the law, but to a subjective feeling of the person that has been annoyed, inconvened, caused distress, uh, caused intimidation. And that is just very dangerous because then at some point the government would have to intervene and say what things can be said and what things cannot be said, sorry, precisely to provide a kind of guidance. And this is where things get messy because then it means that the people won't have a right to say what they want to express, but the government is the one who's going to say what people can express and what people cannot express. And this is the danger that we have seen in many other places. We have seen, for example, in Mexico, cases in which the government has been punishing uh, one Congress member, it's a client of ours, Mr. Gabriel Quadri, for his expressions in Twitter on the biological reality of female and males. And he was asking on Twitter in different various tweets for fairness for women in sports, for fairness for women in politics, um, and just suggesting that the gender ideology agenda in Mexico is is an agenda that is not sound, in a very academic way, a very professional way, without affecting anyone, without mentioning anyone, without causing any damage to anyone. But because of that, he was called as political gender-based political violator. That
Wow.
he had caused distress and political violence to whom, to some person, at the Congress. Is also a federal Congress member, and in this case, a man who identifies as a woman called Salma Luevano, who said that the comments, even though were not directed to this person, that he interpreted were directed to him. And that's why he filed a complaint before the Electoral Tribunal. The Electoral Tribunal, at the end, convicted Mr. Equality, who had to undergo re-education treatment, who was forced to delete his tweets, who is now unable to speak about that topic, who was sanctioned and was registered as a gender-based political violator in a public registry, who was harmed in his political career for expressing what he wanted to express, in this case, views that are perfectly legitimate and that are in interest of his constituents that need to know and need to learn about these issues. But he could not anymore. Why? Because it was a gag order was put over him, placed on him by the tribunal, accusing him of hatred, accusing him of violence. The same we have with Mr. Rodrigo Ivan Cortez, another Mexican citizen. In this case, he's not a Congress member; he's just a citizen that was expressing similar views on a similar matter against a similar person. Why? Because he was defending the right he had to free speech. We are finding the same. We found the same with the case of Päivi Räsänen in Finland. She's a member of parliament from many, many years ago, has been member of parliament maybe 20 years, and she posted on a tweet, she posted a Bible verse directed to his church leaders that were promoting a pride parade in her city in Helsinki. So she posted a Bible verse, just a picture of the Bible verse. And because of that, she's been prosecuted until now by the prosecutors, national prosecutor of Finland. She has undergone two trials already. Now she's in the latest appeal before the Supreme Court, and the justification is that her speech was hateful. Something that we read in the Barbados cybercrime bill, when it says that if the intentional use of a computer system, for example, tweeting, to publish, broadcast, or transmit data, for example, tweeting, and it says in letter B, for the purpose of causing hatred. One of the elements, one of the possible elements. Not all of them have to happen. Just one of them, for the purpose of causing hatred. This is what's happening with all these hate speech bills, and this is exact. Even though this cyber crime bill and cyberbullying bill is not expressly a hate speech bill, it contains elements of hate speech bills, and this element is pernicious and this element is dangerous. So Päivi, she is now she's being prosecuted. She could face fines. She could face jail for what? For expressing her views, which were not directed to anyone but her church leaders, were not offensive, she never used foul language, she never insulted or offended anyone in any way, in any manner. But despite that, the prosecutor, on its own accord, on his or her own accord, the prosecutor said, well, this language might be considered hateful. Why? Because which I'm the authority, say so. We see the same with another of our clients, the latest we're representing in this global censorship trend, which is Billboard Chris, that you might know. Billboard Chris is a very peculiar and interesting person. It's a man from Canada, father of two. He had a profession in finance, but could not stand any longer all this gender ideology promotion all over the world, and seeing many children affected by it and forced to social transition, quote unquote, and then have treatments of hormones and puberty blockers. So he abandoned his job and started wearing like a billboard, like a sandwich type sign, basically saying the phrase like children cannot consent to puberty blockers. So he has been walking all over the world with that, talking, engaging conversation with people in debates, and has a massive amount of followers on Twitter. So he posted in January this year a message saying that, in fact, was retweeting or reposting a news from an outlet in the UK, talking about how this member of this activist, gender ideology activist, was participating in a WHO panel that was elaborating guidelines for transitioning of kids, quote unquote. So he said this is just absurd. This cannot happen. This person has conflict of interest. This person should not be, and these kind of people should not be the ones establishing guidelines on hormonization of children. Uh, and given hormones
Yes.
and puberty blockers. So because of that, the Australian, this guy, the WHO guy, requested the Australian government to censor, because Australia has a law that would allow that, to censor Bill Chris post in Australia, and the court conceded that and accepted that and requested Wilbur Chris to delete his tweet. He's opposing that, and then forced X, formerly Twitter, to delete the post. X at first wouldn't comply, but then was forced to comply, and now with our help, Wilbur Chris is suing the Australian governments and he's fighting, he's giving the legal battle. X is suing as well for this order, but this is just, again, just another way in which this trend manifests.
Yes.
You won't be able to express your views online with a law that, because it's so vaguely and so broadly written, can fall into many different interpretations. And many of those interpretations are, as I said before, favoring the idea that the government can determine what can be said and what cannot be said.
What cannot be said. Wow. And I mean, this has been brilliant, Julio. And I'm glad that you mentioned those cases. Those are real life cases of things that have been happening, and in Mexico, in Latin America, right there next door to us. And so I'm glad to know that these cases are happening. And I know that we are gearing up here in Barbados. We're watching them because, yes, we're going to do our activism and so on. But there's something that we did yesterday, was the 20th. And we submitted, what do we call it, a petition? We are petitioning the human rights. Can you tell us what is it we submitted yesterday, the 20th?
So yes, and this is also interesting. So all that I'm saying here is not things that I just like invented on my own, or lucubrations I've had and ideas on why the law is good or why the law is bad. No, actually there are standards on how these kind of laws can be written, and there are standards that have to be international law standards that Barbados is also obliged to follow. Why? Because Barbados has signed international human rights treaties, treaties that protect, among others, the right to free speech. Barbados has signed, for example, the ICCPR, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Barbados has signed the Inter-American Convention of Human Rights, the American Convention of Human Rights, which is the one who guides or establishes the Inter-American System of Human Rights. So Barbados is due to comply with these legal obligations at the international level. And these obligations, these treaties, which are international law, establish clearly that right of free speech, and the speech cannot be censored previously, and the speech can only be subject to posterior, we would say, administrative sanctions in few, or in cases that are precisely determined in a concrete way by the law. And which are these cases? So it is, and allow me this introduction to explain what is the question you were asking about what you did yesterday, because I do know what you did yesterday. So the Inter-American System of Human Rights, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights has said, I'm going to write first what is the right that is established in the treaty, and then what the court has said on how such right can be restricted. The right says, Article 13, everyone has the right to freedom of thought and expression. Article 13 of the Inter-American Convention, of the American Convention of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to freedom of thought and expression. This right includes freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally, in writing, in print, in the form of art, or through any other medium of one's choice. The exercise of the right provided in the paragraph before shall not be subject to prior censorship, but shall be subject to subsequent imposition of liability, which shall be expressly established by law to the extent necessary to ensure respect for the rights and reputation of others or the protection of national security, public order, or public health and morals. And then the question here, because it says, okay, everybody has the right, everybody has the right to receive information and have the right to impart information, to express. You can express anything that you want. You cannot be censored before you say anything. And yes, you can be subject to liability, but in certain conditions. The first condition is, it says, is it has the liability has to be established by law. And then even if it's established by law, it can only can achieve certain ends, which is the respect of rights of other people, public order, and public morals and national security. So then the question is, what does it mean to be established by law? For example, we have the cybercrime bill. The cybercrime bill establishes by law a restriction to speech. Yes, it is correct, establishes by law. But that is not enough, because the Inter-American Court has said that not any law can be understood as a law that can allow the restriction of speech or the imposition of liability for one's speech. Why? Because it says the law cannot be so vague, so broad, so ample, so indeterminate, that the people who has to guide their own behavior, their own conduct by that law cannot guide it, because they are lost. So the law has to be express. The law has to be previous. The law has to be direct. And this is what I'm talking about. It is the vague, ambiguous, broad, or open norms by their mere existence discourage the emission of information and opinions for fear of sanctions. This is what it's called the chilling effect of censorship. Nobody wants to express themselves because nobody knows what can be harmful to say and what cannot. What can be of what expressions I can be legally liable and of which expressions I cannot. So the court says the law has to be as I was give me a second, I'm reading here. It says strict, unequivocal, prior, explicit, precise, and exhaustive, especially if the law contains criminal sanctions, which is the case of the cybercrime bill. It's not administrative sanctions, it is not civil sanctions, it is criminal sanctions, because you have a penalty of 7 years in jail or $70,000 in fines. So if there's a law that restricts my speech, the law has to be prior, explicit, precise, and exhaustive, because criminal law is the most restrictive and severe means of establishing responsibility for unlawful conduct. Then the citizens need to have precise and certain and clear framework on where are the limits of the rights, because otherwise they are lost and they cannot guide their conduct. So, for example, if we take the cybercrime bill that we were reading before, the article 20.20.1, we see that it's overtly vague. It says a law that can be offensive, indecent, pornographic, vulgar, profane, obscene, for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction. It is completely subjective. It is completely vague. That cannot guide anyone's actions. What is dangerous for you cannot be dangerous for me. What is inconvenient for this person might not be inconvenience for the other person.
So it's pretty wide. You're saying pretty wide. No, we literally have 5 minutes. Sorry, we had the issue with you having stuck in traffic and we're running a little late. So we have 5 minutes, but it means that Julio, we are going to have to bring you back. So in the 5 minutes, what are we saying? That we are appealing to the human rights agencies. Is that what we're doing right now for Barbados?
So what I think you were doing, because you commented this before, was requesting a hearing on the topic of the cybercrime bill, which is the topic of censorship in Barbados, of a bill that would affect the human rights and the right to free speech of Bajans, of citizens of Barbados, to the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. The Inter-American Commission opened its period to request public hearings 2 weeks ago. It closed yesterday night. And during this period, anybody in the region that has a situation to bring to the commission for the commission to review has the possibility to bring it up. And the commission, if they think it's important, they will review it, and then the hearing will the session of hearings will take place in November this year in Washington D.C. And at that hearing, you can bring your claim for the commission to look at it with more care. And in this case, this matter of having a criminal law that would censor and would restrict speech in this way is something that should attract the attention of the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, whose president, by the way, is from Barbados, Ms. Roberta Clark, and of the Rapporteur of Freedom of Speech, Mr. Pedro Vaca, which again repeatedly has said that criminal law cannot be used to restrict speech, especially if it's under the conditions that I described before, which are conditions.
So you're
of,
saying that we might get, there's a good chance that we might get a hearing. This hearing is from the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. And so the whole of Barbados knows that we have requested a hearing. This is international. We told you that you asked us to do it, and this is what we're doing. And we thank Julio for giving us this kind of information. The other thing that we're looking at is if they go ahead and they pass it, which we're hoping that they don't, if it goes through the Senate, this is something that we're going to fight in the courts, that we're not going to sit down and take this lightly. And do you think that that's a viable thing to do? Can you tell us that in 2 minutes? Is that a viable thing to do?
In 2 minutes, yes. So I would expect the commission to receive your hearing. I cannot guarantee that. That's what I would expect. And I hope they grant you the hearing. With the constitutionality of the law, I mean, for sure, I know that Barbados has a situation now with the constitutional process that is going on. But I would think that under the previous constitution, because I've read the previous constitution, you have a guarantee of free speech. You could certainly challenge the constitutionality of the law on many grounds. And also, you could also challenge the law's constitutionality according to the human rights treaties that are binding for Barbados, which might have a status of international law and obligations for Barbados, as in the same way as the Constitution. That is something that you should discuss with local attorneys. But for sure, I mean, I'm not a local Barbadian attorney, so I cannot answer this question with full understanding as a Barbadian attorney would. But my knowledge of how legal systems works around the world would tell me that yes, under your constitution that protects free speech, you would certainly have a chance to bring this as a claim if the law is approved. Yeah. The question there would be of different matters of how to bring the challenge, but certainly this is something that the courts should be able to review if the case comes to and presents to them.
Yes. Well, Julio, already people are asking you to come back. We were rushing because he was supposed to be here from 9 o'clock, but had some challenges and so on.
I'm sorry for that.
He literally was trying to park on the side of the road so he could be in for us this evening. Julio, thank you for the sacrifice. And we're looking forward. You know, I'm going to be on you to come back on and to take us through again. Just to probably review some of this and to, see where we're at and to give an update. Thank you so very much. Thanks to your family for the sacrifice and everything for you to be here with us this evening. Thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Bye. So Barbados, I'm telling you, we have people that you don't see who are working around the clock around the cybercrime bill. When we were off doing something else, we were meeting via Zoom and we were working on this. And yesterday, thanks to those who know themselves, I won't call all the names, we do have a petition that has gone off to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, and we are seeking a hearing re the cybercrime bill as it relates to our human rights. We've also sent to them, the Bar Association, all of what they have, the issues that they have with the cybercrime bill. Those issues have been sent to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights as well. And we are hoping that we would get a hearing from them. Please, those of you who know to pray, say a prayer. And we did send it in on time. We were in the nick of time because we only learned about it last week, I think, or a week and a half ago. And those that are able to sat down and put everything together and sent off. Okay, let us stand together. I say to you that if they go ahead and pass it in the Senate, we already lining up lawyers for them. I'm telling you, we are going to tie this up into court. We're going to fight them. We are not going to stop here. So those of you who love to say our fight is just on the street and we don't know to do this and we don't know to do that, there's so many things we've done on the cybercrime bill. We've had press conferences. We've had educational seminars on it, Zoom meetings on it. We have had roadside parliament on it. And here it is, we've done petitions on it. And here it is, we're sending a letter to an international agency, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, for them to take a look at it and to give us a hearing. We've gone into parliament, remember. We prepared people and sent them into parliament to speak on this bill. Do you remember that? It's not just, and so the people who come on and say the loyal opposition, all we do is march and we talk, that is not true. We've gone into parliament. We had so many submissions into parliament. They were shocked. Written submissions and oral submissions into parliament, roadside parliament, marches, so many press conferences, educational forums, letters to the newspaper, and now we've sent off to get a hearing. And not only that, but we're consulting with lawyers. We're starting to gather lawyers together because we are sending a sound out to them. We're not stopping. Who with me tonight? Anybody with me tonight? Who is with me tonight? Who is with me? Who is with us? It's us, the loyal opposition. Yes? Yes. And we're going to keep on it. I'm going to throw the cybercrime bill in everything that we're doing, because if that comes, we can't do what we're doing tonight. That fisherman would not have been able to come on here tonight, and none of our speakers would be able to come on whenever they come on. It would not be possible. Okay? So we need you. This is something that we need to keep happening. Thanks to Felicia Dujon for giving us this contact. Felicia Dujon, if you are listening, and that's the thing with it. You had somebody from Barbados Sovereign Party, and here am I talking about Felicia Dujon from the Democratic Labour Party, and these contacts came from Felicia Dujon from the Democratic Labour Party, who has been helping and pushing. So sometimes you might not see certain people out front, but it doesn't mean they're not working. Felicia Dujon, wherever you are, please take a bow, because you have opened this door for us, for Barbados, and we appreciate you. There's Paul Messiah who is on. Good night, Paul. Paul, I can't hear you. I just see you smiling.
A blessed good night to you and the loyal opposition.
Yes. Do you have a radio? Do you have anything on? Because we can't hear you and there's a noise coming through.
You can hear me now?
I'm hearing you now, but there's a noise. Is it the headphones? I don't know. Something is wrong.
I don't know where the noise is coming from.
Okay, sort it out. Sort it out. Let me turn off the sound because it's um okay. Those who is going to be calling in? If you're calling in, we're going to go an extra 15 minutes, guys. I know we went over. Colin Roach, you had something to say. Do you wanna call in? If you have something to say, you can feel free to call in 236-7000. We had a full show tonight, and we had something with an issue with our overseas speaker, so it's cutting into our chat time, our family chat time, and I want us to have that family chat time. That's important in this season of the show. So let me see if Paul is ready. I know Paul is ready. Let's see if the equipment will let him be ready. Hi, Paul.
I'm not sure. Yeah, is it still there, or you can hear me?
Barely, we're barely hearing you. I think it could be your headphones, Paul. Can you do it without your headphones?
Uh, let me try that.
Yes, the noise, it's irritating to the ears. So let me turn it off because I know the others might be having difficulty. Anybody else want to call in? Somebody can tell Colin Roach he could call in. Who else wanted to call in? Paul, you might have to leave and come back in. So let me let Paul leave and come back in. Okay, anybody wants to call in on any of the topics of fishermen? Anybody wants to talk about the fishermen? The fishermen, their nightmare that they're going through. Anybody wants to come in? I mean, we had so many segments. What about the voter suppression? What about the petrol? Us not having any ease at all. The government has not given us any ease in the petrol prices, even though the global prices have fluctuated. I'm waiting on you, my Barbadian family. Who is calling in? 1-246-236-7000. So Paul is back here. Let's see. Hi, Paul.
Yes. Hi. Good night.
Good night, Paul. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yes. What's
Wonderful.
on your mind tonight?
Well, I am educated, more educated than I was before I actually met the Marshall show.
Ah, wonderful.
I,
Wonderful.
I am now a little more au fait with legal matters. So it's telling me that the loyal opposition are going places for educational purposes.
That
What
is that
some
is that is great.
I have to share some thoughts here though, because as a citizen, I should never be left to interpret the law. You agree with me?
Correct.
I should, right. So if this cyber crime bill is vague and we are left to interpret it, it means that we are actually putting ourselves in a disadvantaged kind of mode, so to speak. So one must be clear in what they will be judged on, so that they would know whether or not they should or should not do something. So I find that the cybercrime bill is opening the door to transition citizens into criminals.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have noticed though is for the past couple of years, the people have been forced to represent themselves,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and they have been representing themselves quite successfully. When we expected what we term as the opposition to represent us, their voices were silent. So we were forced to represent ourselves when it came um to the what's that? The ID, digital ID. There was no voice from the then opposition. So we had to step up to the plate. And I think it is interesting that we are still stepping up to the plate. And you know something, Marcia? I think that we deserve a refund, though, as the citizens of Barbados. And I'll tell you why I say this. The government took our money to represent our interests. Isn't that so?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones who supposed to represent our interests. But if we now have to represent our own interests because they are busy representing their own interests, I think they owe us a refund.
Yeah, agree.
Right. So I don't know who is going to fight for us to to be refunded, but I think we definitely need a refund because we have to actually fight our own battles now. And I mind you, we are going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We are on the winning
We are
side.
on the winning side. You are so you're so right, and we really deserve we deserve a refund. We've been fighting this loyal opposition. There's a lot. I mean, we're now seeing that the people who were treated unfairly with the
Hmm.
land tax at Bra. We are seeing that they are now fixing that. Thank God for Caswell Franklin and this show. We're seeing that is happening, and look at what is happening with the cybercrime bill. Because of the noise we've made on this show and on the streets of Barbados, the loyal
Hmm.
opposition of
Hmm.
all the
Hmm.
noise we've made, they had to take it back to the
Hmm.
committee, the parliamentary committee. They,
Hmm.
and now look at what is happening. It gave us time to go to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. So something is happening. We are working and there's so
Hmm.
many other areas. Look, the fishermen, they had a forum like this that they could come on and express themselves for a good 40 minutes. And so we are providing that for them. A loyal opposition is doing that. Of course, we must thank Mr. Thorne and the senators, and they have been standing up for us, especially on the cybercrime bill. We have to give that to them as well.
Yes. And I believe that we have not heard the crux of the matters yet. More people are still going to come on board to give their story, and it is going to be something because they need to listen to the people.
Hmm.
They need to take time to listen to the people
Correct,
because we are the
correct.
ones who they are supposed to be representing. We should not be coming here to speak on our behalf. Who we paid, who we put our ex to represent us, they're the ones who supposed to be representing us. But anytime that we have to end up representing ourselves, I believe it shows a disconnect between them and us. Our interests aren't the same.
Yes,
Our
correct,
interests aren't the same.
correct. Well,
So I look at
Paul.
it this way: when someone represents you, they represent your interests, not theirs. So we are not governed by politicians. It seems that we are governed by policies, and other people's policies we are governed by. So
Hmm.
we need to change this whole thing around.
Yes,
And I
yeah,
am praying that it will be changed ASAP.
yes,
But we
yes.
need to we need to keep noise because nobody likes noise.
Nobody likes noise, and
And
somebody here,
as you noticed tonight, the noise was a little disturbing from my end. So I had to fix it. you know? So the government does not want noise from us, so they're going to have to fix their end.
yeah. Well, Jacqueline Aline is saying here, as we're going to close now, Paul. But Jacqueline
So
Aline is
basically,
saying
that's it, Marcia. Although I
that's it
have some
for
other
you.
things to
Well,
share pertaining to the
thank you so much,
noise from the other
Paul. We
side.
will, if you can call in again on Friday, or we're going to be here again on Friday night, God willing. But thank you, Paul. We appreciate you. We appreciate you for always having something to say and not being afraid to say it. And I'm hoping that other Barbadians
Sure. Okay. Thank you very
would be
much again.
frequent. You be a frequent caller to the program. I don't mind, be willing to call in. That's
Right.
okay. All
it's
right.
sticking now. It's sticking now, but
Yes. Thank you so
yeah,
much, Paul.
it's kind of
Thank you.
sticking. But I'll just go and just listen in. So have a
Thank
very
you.
good night.
Yes. Thank you. Well, guys, again, thank you for being on with me tonight. Can I tell you something that, being on with you guys 4 nights a week, uh, has changed, totally changed my life, because one, I'm learning so much that I didn't know of before. I'm getting to just be acquainted with people that I didn't normally would not normally meet, and it has been a life changing experience for me. And I want to say that I feel such support, and just not me, but the entire team: Caswell, Dave, Ferdinand Nichols, Maxine McLean, every one of us, Rose Corbin, who Rose is going to be on Friday. All of us, Kimar, we feel your support. We do. And it wasn't always like that. And I know that things are changing. And I just want to say that. I was coming on here today, and I recognized we were setting up back the camera because I took it down to the vacation with me, and I realized, wow, this camera came from a loyal opposition that we're using now, right? We have a new camera from a loyal opposition member. I opened my laptop from a loyal opposition member, a Mac at that, right? I have my mic was given to us. Everything people just gave to us so that we can be efficient at what we do. Even a Wi-Fi extender was sent to us. We're trying now to get it up and running to make sure that we always have Wi-Fi. What a team! What a team we have. Think about it. As soon if somebody recognizes that I need something that is going to that I for the shows, they're going to make sure all these lovely necklaces that I have, all given to me. People see me and they have a bag of something to give me. So here's some necklaces. I see you like necklaces. Here are some more. These will look better than the ones you have. And I want to say thank you. I was to tears. I had on the makeup, so I couldn't cry. I was trying to hold back before I came on. This is like a couple minutes before we signed on, and I was just saying what a wonderful bunch of people you are, and how we are working together. And without your help, we could not get it done. We want to thank everybody. Even, I came on, I said we had an anniversary, and somebody says, oh, here, go and enjoy yourself on your anniversary, from the people. And and not just from the people, the loyal opposition. And, as you know, I'm an open book, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to pretend with you. It touches my heart. Can you imagine that the laptop that I use, a Mac, my camera, a very expensive camera. And when they're giving us things, they give us top of the line to Caswell as well, making sure Caswell's mic is good. So because they want to hear him. And that's how I know we're a team. And it touches my heart. It does. And it is encouraging for Caswell as well, because we talk about it. He and I talk about it. Thank you. We said we wanted a bed because there's somebody who needed a bed. And, that person had 3 offers for a bed. One had a used bed, one was a blow up bed, and one was a brand new bed. That is the Barbados that I know. Do you hear how the fishermen, they take care of those other fishermen who don't have anything? Did you hear how they form what is called a rapid response team? You see how they work, and that's the Barbados I know. Did you hear what Ryan said? How he's a manager at a big company here, and he would get these letters come in, and the letters he's getting are letters asking his company to help citizens to take care of children who need back to school uniform and supplies, other supplies. we support each other. And I wanted to say that. I want to say that to you, that I feel the support, and I hear you. We're going to go back to March. We're going back, and we're building up the case. They have to answer us about that petrol that has not, in a year, they have not given us any grace. They have not lowered the price. The entire year it remained. There was no fluctuations. Even though on the global scale, the price fluctuated, we didn't see any here. Why? Why? We're not somebody. We're not people. Huh? We have the cybercrime bill. We have the high cost of living. There's so many issues. So listen out for March, and Roadside Parliament is coming again. Those are coming again. All right. So folks, good night, my wonderful Barbadian family. God bless you. Let us keep fighting. Thank you, Dave, for being in the background. You did a fabulous job with all of those, Oh, we even had a song to play, but we didn't get to play it. One of Gabby's songs about the fisherman. But thanks to everybody who contributed, who came on, Mr. Charles Harewood, and to our Senator Walters, Ryan Walters, thank you so very much. To Philip Kathleen Springer, thank you for fighting on behalf of Barbados, you and the Barbados Sovereign Party, and Ryan from the Democratic Labour Party. Thank you all so much. God bless you all, and have a great night.
But sometimes I will sit on the beach and I will pray with fishermen, fishermen. Sometimes I will sit on the beach and I will cry and cry and cry with fishermen, with fishermen. Or sometimes they will fish all night, don't even get one single bite. Lord, and they will come home so sad, come home so sad. Bajan, Bajan, fishermen, fishermen, they will come home so sad, come home so sad. Bajan, Bajan, fishermen. But sometimes I will sit on the beach and I will laugh.
Come forward, walk out. This one I got worldwide.
Just days after former government backbencher Ralph Thorne crossed the floor, he's taken the oath of office as leader of the opposition.
Cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Wait there, Ralph Thorne. Dancing come back again. Our turn is the latest trend. Everybody know link up a friend. This one designed to be
and more will be left over.
Dancing come back again. Our turn is the latest.
Are these trips so important?
Link up a friend. This one designed to be living our men.
Yes, I'm for real, member. I am for real. Don't let me talk out your business. Don't let me talk out your business. All right.
And I can't decide, so I'm moving with the die. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yes, yes. And let me go now. Cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor.
There has to be some order here.
Cross the floor, let me do it some more like Ralph.
The Minister of Finance is not party to this present transaction, Your Honor. Ask him to keep quiet, please. And I say to you further, Mr. Speaker, that my conscience, my location here is related to my conscience. I said it last year. It is well with my soul.
my man. So whether he cross or in cross, he will always be there for us.
I came to a point where I had to take the decision that if my philosophical and political views do not accord with those of government in terms of its legislation, in terms of its policy, the relationship becomes untenable.
All right. Good night, Barbados. Good night. Sleep well, Chris. Sleep well.